Honor, esteem, and praise and glory. Blessings to the name of Yahuwah by way of Yahushua HaMashiach. Let's get to John 5 and 39. Search the scriptures. For any of you think you have eternal life, and they are they which testified me. But you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Elohim in you. I come in my Abba's name, and you receive me not. But another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one of another, and seek not the honor that comes from Elohim only? Do not think that I will accuse you to Abba. There's one that accused you, even Moses, in whom you trust. But had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how should you believe my words? So let's go to Proverbs chapter 10 and verse 1. And we still going to be able to weave this Proverbs 10 into what we've been going over. So it says, the Proverbs of Solomon, a wise son make a glad father, but a foolish son is the heaviness of his mother. The treasures of wickedness profit nothing, but righteousness deliver from death. Yahuwah will not suffer the soul of the righteous to famish, but he cast away the substance of the wicked. So the first thing he makes mention of is that a wise son makes his father glad. And I'm just going to look at the word for glad because we know what wise is going to be. That should calm. But when we look at glad, we have samach. To rejoice and to be glad. So let's take a look at something, right? Let's go to Matthew chapter 17. Real quick, like. Remember to guard your privacy and abide by community's guidelines. Shalom, man. They say you can't get on YouTube talking any kind of way. They say you got something. Yeah, they feel that way. That's why a lot of dudes go on Patreon. You know about Patreon? Basically YouTube, but you got to pay. You know what I'm saying? You make donations to the person's channel who you're patronizing. So a lot of dudes go to Patreon because there's no restrictions on what you can say. You can say pretty much what you want to say. You can't say what you want to say on YouTube no more. That's one of the reasons why they came what I tell you that you can't live stream off your phone with thousands of subscribers or less. Because they're trying to stop. They're trying to basically regulate and censor what you can and can't say. Which that's their right. It's their company. It's a private company. Do what they want to do. Matthew 17 and 1. After 6 days, Yahushua take Peter, James, and John, his brother, and bring them up into a high mountain apart. It was transfigured before them, and his face did shine as the sun, and his raiment was white as the light. And behold, there appeared unto them Moses and Elijah talking with him. Then answered Peter and said unto Yahushua, Lord, is it good for us to be here? If you will, let us make us here 3 tabernacles, one for you, one for Moses, one for Elijah. While he yet spake, behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them, and behold, a voice out of the cloud which said, this is my beloved son, in whom I'm well pleased. Hear you him. So we see that Elohim has just said that Yahushua is his beloved son, whom he's well pleased. What would make him well pleased with him? Because it said a wise son makes his father glad. So what would be the things that would make him glad? Because we could go look at some foolish sons that brought heaviness to Yahuwah's heart. Do y'all know the first span who was an unwise son that you can read of that brought heaviness to Yahuwah's heart? Because he definitely said it. Maybe not in those words, but it said it in that context. No, he didn't say anything about he didn't care nothing about Cain too tough. At least not that was mentioned. Let me put it that way. I mean, and you would be correct because it said it repented him that he had even made him king. So that means that brought sorrow to my heart that I even fooled with you. You know what I'm saying? Because you're foolish. Now with Cain, it's a different. A reason why I said that because he's a murderer. So Cain would be against who Yahuwah is. So it's not necessarily that it might have brought heaviness to him, might have brought wrath. It didn't even say heaviness because he just came and told him, like, yo, what's your problem, bro? If you do right, you be all right. But he wasn't heavy for him. He hadn't made him sad, so to speak. Let's see what the word heaviness is. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Saul was made king, and on top of that, he had gave Saul multiple opportunities to do what I asked you to do. And you continually chose to do what you wanted to do. When you get the word for heaviness, that is to God. Of course, y'all would know that's grief, heaviness, or sorrow. Let's look at the verse what we were just talking about. I think it's 1 Samuel 15. Let's look at it. To make sure that's what I got. And there it is. 1 Samuel 15 and 5. And Saul came to a city of Amalek and laid wait in the valley. Saul said unto the Kenites, Go, depart, get you down from among the Amalekites, lest I destroy you with them. For you showed kindness to all the children of Yasharal when they came out of Mizraim. So the Kenites departed from among the Amalekites. Saul smote the Amalekites from Havilah unto you come to Shur, that is over against Mizraim. He took Agag, the king of the Amalekites, alive and utterly destroyed all the people with the edge of the sword. But Saul and the people spared Agag and the best of the sheep and of the oxen and of the fatlings and of the lambs and all that was good, and would not utterly destroy them, but everything that was vile and refuse, that they destroy utterly. Now, see, I'm going to use that as an example of this here that I've heard certain people say to me in the past. Now, it doesn't explicitly say that, but you see it say the best things they kept. Nasty things they destroyed. Well, I always compare that to individuals that say the stuff in the law that they want to do, they do, but the stuff that they don't want to do, they don't do. And that's pretty much what it is that you've seen here. See, it's the stuff that look good that you want to keep holding on to. And that's why I've been really, really impressing and imparting that you must thoroughly understand every form of media that you consume personally, because you have to protect your own spirit first and foremost, and then what you feed to your children. You know what I'm saying? We can no longer walk around in a malaise as if stuff is sweet, when you know full well that everything is made for the purpose of turning people into atheists. You know what I'm saying? You have to know that. You can't be that simple and disregard that. I don't care who it is. I don't care what entertainer it is. I don't care what television show it is. I don't care how innocent you might think it seems. We read it last week. I'll tell it to you again. In 1 John chapter 5, about verse 17 or maybe 18, it says that we know that the whole world lies in wickedness. Now, you know full well that so-called Jewish people who practice Kabbalah control 95% of the entertainment sector. Majority of all the owners of professional sports teams, I would probably say a good 65% are Jewish, and they're practices of the Kabbalah. So it has nothing to do with them being Jewish. It just has to do that particular ethnic group participates in a particular type of religious worship. So do not think that if I control certain things that I would not want to integrate what I believe in to be disseminated to the people who I'm selling it to. You have to understand something, because you're not familiar with this. When you run and control a culture, then you dictate what the culture is. See, when we were in the land, you ran and dictated the culture. Yahuwah told you to dictate the culture by standing on his word. You understand? Now, by definition, no other race of people should ever be able to come in and say that this is the culture in the land of Yasharal, because the culture has been set. This is why you in America, you can't come in America and tell them white folks how to set their culture. You can't do that. Now, I asked y'all a question the other night, so I'm going to get you right now. Who actually found out why the Civil War was fought? Go ahead. Grandma, ain't nothing wrong with you.
Before I said that nigga Abraham Lincoln shit out his mouth, and I never knew that because, in high school they all told us.
Yeah, he didn't like black people.
That cracker said, it's not my purpose to interfere. It's not my purpose to directly or indirectly to interfere with the institution of slavery in the states where they exist. And I believe I have no lawful right to do so or no inclination to do so.
Yeah, that's in the Emancipation Proclamation. That's one of the biggest lies in history told. He did not free slaves with the Emancipation Proclamation. He only set slaves free in the South, of which he had no authority to do so. He did not free any slaves in the North because he did not want to offend neutral states that might secede from the Union. You know what I'm saying?
Then, like,
go ahead. Huh? They were fleeing up north because they felt like they would have refuge. But what he's referring to is the lie that's taught in the schools that slaves were freed with the Emancipation Proclamation, because they know that you're not going to take the time to go read it. But if you go study history, the Emancipation Proclamation freed no one.
And from my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, like Congress, they was taxing the South. In the South, like they were trying to sell their goods to other countries like cotton and other raw materials. And then they was putting like heavy tariffs on the finished product the North was making it unaffordable for the South to copy that from the North. So basically, the South was losing billions like tax revenue and stuff like that. So basically, it was about money.
To a certain extent, but not for that reason. Does anybody else know why the Civil War was fought? Go. Ain't nothing to do with slavery. Absolutely nothing to do with biggest. That's the second biggest lie. Why was the Civil War fought? Not at all. Big lie. That they were trying to succeed and start their own country.
And how would they say that? He wanted to keep the country together and he was strongly about.
Big lie.
That is true because I know why they fought it, but to a certain extent, it is true. They had to keep it together in order for them to be.
Yeah, now that was Lincoln's objective, but it wasn't about slavery, though.
I just knew they had to have it. If they would have separated, they wouldn't have been able to. They wouldn't have been able to attack that.
Yeah, no, she telling Nisha right now. They were trying to establish a national bank. You know what I'm saying? Because we got to understand the Constitution states and says that only Congress can mint money, and it must be gold and silver. So they were trying to initiate a national bank. So this is why so Abraham Lincoln wasn't with it. So in order to start it, they had to start a war. So then because of that starting that war, Abraham Lincoln does say what she just said in numerous speeches, that his objective was to keep the Union together. He cared nothing about slaves. Absolutely nothing. If he could have kept the Union together and you could have stayed a slave, that would have been absolutely fine with him. Also, of course, if you do your research history-wise, slavery is not necessarily how it's portrayed historically. You know what I'm saying? We were in slavery, but there was also niggas who were free that owned niggas. You know what I'm saying? And they don't tell you that. You know what I'm talking about? Because they're trying to manipulate you to make sure that you stay a low-level thinking individual and that you always have a slave mentality and never have a ruling class mentality, if you will. But they fought that Alexander Hamilton was the first person that wanted to start. That niggas. The who? I'm not familiar with him. What you know about him? Where you at? No, it's still rolling.
So like when I was like looking up like basically like the South, they was making it seem like getting bucked by the North.
I mean, that's how it was portrayed to the public, but in reality, see, that's why Lincoln got killed. But see, that's why Lincoln got killed. That's why William McKinley got killed. Y'all know who William McKinley is? William McKinley was president in about 1901. That's why he got killed. That's why Kennedy got killed, because they were trying to get rid of the National Bank. They were also trying to kill Andrew Jackson. You know what I'm saying? Because Andrew Jackson was not with a national bank. You know what I'm saying? But that's why the Civil War was fought. You got to realize something. The Civil War ended when? Who knows when the Civil War ended? What year? 1865. And do y'all know what happened 6 years later? No, they established that the United States was a corporation 6 years later. The Federal Reserve actually did not get established until 42 years later in 1913. So that was the whole purpose of why the Civil War was fought. You know what I'm saying? No, the international bankers wanted a national bank. Abraham Lincoln wasn't with it. So the instances that you're referring to, they go and rabble rouse, if you will, be agent provocateurs, if you will. You know what I'm saying? And they started a system to cause these people to want to buck. But what you've seen in public was really a hidden hand. No war has ever been fought organically. That's why you had to see, before the Civil War, they had the War of 1812. And that was because of they wanted a national bank and niggas bucked. You know what I'm saying? That's why there's a clip, and I had something to you, where Donald Trump was like, he said something about Andrew Jackson, and the first people said it, oh, he owned slaves. But if you know history, Andrew Jackson was not with the National Bank. That's probably one of the two reasons why they got Alexander Hamilton and Andrew Jackson on their money, as it means to mock them. Well, I ain't gonna say Alexander Hamilton, but definitely Andrew Jackson.
So that's what they just got the South to fight the North.
Yeah,
The
so
North was with it, the South wasn't.
no, Abraham Lincoln wasn't with it. Matter of fact, and I read this in prison, when they came and told him, hey, we're gonna do this but you got to give us X amount of millions of dollars. Well, in 1865, $1 million is like $100 trillion now. You know what I'm saying? So he was like, nigga, what? Man, we ain't on that. They said, oh, you ain't with it? Don't even worry about it. And they went and started a war. You know what I'm saying? You have to realize something, man. When you looking at Democrats and Republicans, what's their colors? I just mentioned this. What I told you the other day? York right, Scottish right. It's opposames. It's the Hegelian dialectic. Chaos, order out of chaos, cause you to go against one another. But this is when you have to take the time to learn. You cannot believe nothing that you read in your history books in school, because it's a lie. Y'all ever seen that speech that Michael Jackson had when he was like, it's a lie. It's all a lie. That nigga, and he told you the truth.
They said it was wrong, so they said it was a lie.
Winners right history.
Winners right history.
But over here, you know, the losers wrote.
But no, wow. But the South didn't write that. Truth be told, if you see a Confederate flag, technically that's a flag of treason. Like, somebody who's of America should be offended because that's a treasonous flag. See, that's the real flag of you never even seen a real flag in America. That's not even a real flag. Y'all ever seen the real flag before?
Is it on there?
No, like the inside part is white and the stars are blue. Like, it's a totally different. See, that's a military flag. Anytime you see them fringes on the flag, that's a corporate flag. You know what I'm saying? That's why if you go to court and you hire a lawyer, you're deemed to be mentally incompetent, because you're supposed to be able to handle your own financial affairs. That's why they treat you like that when you go to court, because you're not supposed to hire a lawyer. You're supposed to be versed enough in maritime law to represent yourself. So when you go in there and they say, oh, you got a lawyer, they look at you, oh, you're an idiot. You're stupid. And they're going to treat you as such. You know what I'm saying? But we don't know that. Like, you have to really see that. See, that's where they get you at. And I know this is where they get us at for one reason and one reason alone. Who's gonna take the time to go to a law library and go read some law books? You know what I'm saying? Who's gonna take the time to actually study history and find out what is going on when you constantly want to be entertained, or you have to go to work all the time, or you're not gonna find that out. That's why they give you so much entertainment. You have to remember, in ancient times, some people had two options: work or read. You know what I'm saying? Most of them read, especially when they claim that people didn't know the Bible before they made a printing press. That's a bold-faced lie. Yeah, they knew it. You know what I'm saying? Maybe not with them white folks. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, they knew it. You have to understand something, right? And niggas say this cliche-wise, but it's the truth. Your ancestors didn't know how to read. And you know how to read, and you'd rather have somebody sing and dance for you versus to learn something. You know what I'm saying? You should take your time to learn something, because then you might realize that your whole reality is a lie. And when you realize your whole reality is a lie, then like I said last night, you can teach it to them and their reality will never be a lie. Do you know what I'm saying? You have to realize something. If you know you've been living in a lie your whole life, why would you want your children? Why would you sell them the same lie? Because we don't do Christmas or Thanksgiving? It's more lies going on than that. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot more lies going on than that. I remember being on the road and reading about that what the Civil War was about. Because I told we had a book from Jeb Bush's library with Abraham Lincoln's quotes. That cracker hated niggas. You know what I'm saying? And niggas venerated him. And guess what you did? Niggas did. It's Juneteenth. And you didn't even realize they laughing at you. You dream about Juneteenth and they laughing at you because they know why they created the Civil War and they laughing at you. You know what I'm saying? Because you thought you was free and you still a slave because we have you under financial debt slavery. You big dummy. Keep on jumping up and down. Because we did our plan. And that's what I said. That's why Lincoln was killed. He wasn't with it. John Wilkes Booth was a 33rd degree Freemason. They sent him in there and they murked him. You know what I'm saying? And duck cuz off because he didn't want to go along with the plan. And I can't recall is the person who replaced him. His name escapes me. I know his first name is Andrew. Andrew Johnson. He was with it. He was with it. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, 6 years later, what happened? America Incorporated. You know what I'm saying? And 42 years later, they were able to get the Federal Reserve. And after that, 1913, 20 years later, they got rid of the gold, and you've been a slave ever since. Who?
They came to the Federal Reserve.
No, they had the National Bank. The National Bank had already been established since the beginning of time. They just wanted to establish it here. You know what I'm saying? So they had to go through steps to get it. Like anytime you see a war going on somewhere, they're establishing a national bank so they can drain the resources of that country and put the people in perpetual fiat debt slavery. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's all about. Because it's big money in war. Yeah, you got to finance both sides. Look at George Bush family financed the Nazis. The Ford family financed the Nazis. Most people don't know that, but this is historical record. This is known. But you know what? They know it. You know they know what you're not gonna do. They know you're not gonna read because guess what? Game of Thrones come on. I ain't got no time to read. You know what I'm saying? I gotta watch my TV shows. That's what they made it for. That's why they gave you clubs. That's why they gave you all of that. Because you wouldn't have a desire to learn anything. So therefore you wouldn't be a threat. Entertained people is not a threat. You know what I'm saying? Because they know that you have the mind of a toddler. You know what I'm saying? We keep you occupied and bandied about of things of no consequence. You'll never serve your God at that particular point because you'll always be worried about what fear. We were just talking about this at the house, right? You know why a lot of people walk away from Yahuwah? Because it's boring. Serving Yahuwah is boring. There's no excitement in serving Yahuwah. It's mundane and it's consistency. It's the same thing every day. You know what I'm saying? But these other gods, we can have revelries and parties and orgies, and every day you never know what's going to happen. And that's what people want, because people want excitement. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, dealing with Yahuwah is boring. It is boring. It's not exciting. Consistency is not exciting. It's not flashy. It's not going to turn heads and be like, wow, look at that outfit. You know what I'm saying? In the end, it will be. It'll be a delight. But guess what, though? Anything that you have to get a great reward from, it's boring while you're doing the consistent work to get to the reward. And people don't like that. You know what I'm saying? Because people are just like the average whore. I can't wait to get to the next thing. I can't wait to get to the next thing. I always want to have fun. It's not fun. It's not fun. Get your simple behind up out of here. That's why you're supposed to keep your daughter in your house till she gets some sense, or you give her to a man who got some sense. Because guess what happens? When you leave her to herself, she wants to have fun. The whole society goes down. Well, look at us as a people. We want to have fun. You go out and have it. The whole society goes down. You know what I'm saying? And that's just what it is. And because men have no desire to lead and put their foot down and say absolutely not, we have a problem. But let me continue. 1 Samuel 15:6. I just had to mention that before I've been forgot that I had asked y'all to do that. But I'm just mentioning that that's a lie. Like we already know how they lie about our God. You know what I mean? But you got to know they lie. They lie about everything. Finance, history, everything. They lie. Because we just told you that they don't have no history. They were in caves, kissing dogs, punching trees. You know what I'm saying? And this is not being disparaging. This is a true story.
I mean, that's the part they do touch.
They definitely tell you that. Don't you always see them show them how they like to hang in mountains and play with dogs? But this wasn't regular domesticated dog. They were kissing wolves in the mouth. They tell you this here, Caucasus. That's where they was at, hanging out. You walk up this here, they had to civilize them people. Can you imagine being a black man and walking up and seeing somebody hunching a tree? Well, what is you doing? You got a wife right there. But the sap, it pleases me. That's not to say that our people were any better, but that's disturbing and disgusting and many other adjectives that we won't use at this time. You say, Saul, I already read that, right? I'm in verse 10. So he said, then came the word of Yahuwah unto Samuel, saying, it repent me that I've set up Saul to be king. So he has turned back from following me and have not performed my commandments, and it grieved Samuel. And he cried to Yahuwah all night. He said, it repented me. This man here done made my heart heavy. And look at Samuel doing. He crying for him. But y'all remember what y'all told Samuel about Saul, right? What he told him? I don't know what you're crying for this nigga for. Get up and go do what I told you to do. Let's read it, because I just like to read that from time to time. 16:1. I mean, it's apropos because you have to look at it. And the reason why I say that is because if you see y'all done cut somebody off, you ain't got no business sitting around crying about this nigga, worrying about him. You know what I'm saying? If he don't fool with him, he don't fool with him. And I don't care who it is. It could be your mammy. You think y'all care, but that's my mama, Lord. Okay, you can go to hell with her, with mother. It's nice knowing you. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate all the years you fed me and clothed me and housed me. Was definitely appreciative. I must depart from you now. You know what I'm saying? It's true. It's what it is, though. Look what he told him. Remember, Samuel, it ain't like Samuel had a problem with Saul. You know what I'm saying? He didn't have no personal problem with it, but look what he told him. Say, Yahuwah said unto Samuel, how long will you mourn for Saul, seeing I rejected him from reigning over Yasharal? Fill your horn with oil and go where I will send you to Jesse the Bethlehemite, for I provided me a king among his sons. He said, what you want to know him for? You need to get ready to get him, go do what I told you to do. I don't fool with that nigga. He said, seeing I have rejected him. He said, how long you going to cry about him for? What you crying about him for? You seen what he did. He don't listen. He do what he want to do. And that's how a foolish son grieve his mother. You know what I'm saying? But Yahushua made the statement. He said, I always do what pleases my father. Let's look at that, John chapter 11. See, I'm trying to lead to something before we talk about 11. Before we start talking about Osiris. Who's familiar with Osiris? You know what I'm saying? Who do y'all? I think I mentioned it last night. Y'all know the rapper who called himself Osiris, didn't it? What rapper called himself Osiris? I just heard about it. Old Dirty Bastard called himself Osiris. He also called himself Big Baby Jesus. Definitely did. And then, of course, the baby, that was his original name. Was Baby Jesus. Yeah, he called himself Osiris too. He was a 5%er, so them boys was all into that. Yeah, but the baby, that's why he had to change the name. The record companies told him he couldn't call himself Baby Jesus. That he is, because that nigga. And I seen the music video. And that was in this. He did that in the music video though. That nigga dressed up like Suge, had his little. Because I was telling him, I seen a few of his music videos. The baby, that nigga is hilarious. You understand me? That nigga is hilarious. I think it's hilarious. That nigga's hilarious. I don't know if he killed anybody, but he's funny. I don't know about no gangster, but that guy's funny. Let me see what verse I want. John 11 and 38. I'm trying to think too. It's so much stuff that that trying to recall that ain't real. But yeah, we're gonna talk about Osiris though. You know Osiris in the book of Acts. Y'all knew Osiris in the book of Acts. Yeah, he in there though. Yahusha therefore again groaning in himself come to the grave. It was a cave and a stone lay upon it. Yahusha said, take away you the stone, Martha, the sister of him that was dead, unto him, and say unto him, Lord, by this time he stink, for he have been dead 4 days. Yahusha said unto her, said I not unto you that if you would believe, you should see the esteem of Elohim? Then they took away the stone from the place where the dead was laid. Yahusha lifted up his eyes and said, Abba, I thank you that you heard me. I know that you hear me always, but because of the people which stand by, I said it, that they may believe that you have sent me. Well, why does his father always hear him? Because in another place, he said he always does the things that pleases him. See, if you want to sit back to make Yahuwah glad, then you have to be a wise son. See, remember, right? You know that he told us that we need to be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. And as I was explaining to our peoples that's across the hall, the main reason why I'm mentioning some of the stuff that we going over, as I just mentioned a few moments ago, is for them. Yeah, it's good for you to know, but that is to spur you to learn that, to teach that to them. Because you know what I'm saying? Because how are they going to know what's not of Yahuwah if you don't even tell them? Now, you know, Yahuwah didn't have to tell us coming out of the wilderness what was not of him, because you were already looking at it. You know what I'm saying? You had just came up out of Egypt and seen how they worship their deities. You were in the wilderness and you seen them people around you and what they were doing. When he was teaching you your laws, he was showing you this is what the Canaanites do. You not gonna do that. But see, now you have no earthly idea of any of that. Before we looked at Bacchus, how many of y'all even knew who Bacchus was? You know what I'm saying? So when you look at that, how would you even be able to? That's why you would look at it and be like, yeah, there ain't nothing wrong with going to college. There ain't nothing wrong with doing here, doing this here, doing that there, not realizing they worshiping their gods. You don't know that. Do you not know that the book say, you know, blessed is a man that have a quiver full of children, right? So if he hands you off some children, then what it is your duty to do is to protect their soul. That's what the man's total job was. What did he say about Abraham in Genesis 18? He said, I know him, that he'll do what? Teach it to his household, that he'll do justice and judgment in the way of Yahuwah, and teach it to his household. Now, guess where Abraham came from? He came from a land of idolaters. So you don't think that I would be able to tell my son, remember what Jacob had done fled, and what did Rachel do when they had done fled? She had took them idols. You know what I'm saying? And what did he tell his people to do? Leave them idols alone, change the clothes. Let's look at it, Genesis 35. Genesis 35:1. I could at least say when it comes to the aspect of, the aspect of that's certain things that's not teaching script. So, you know, you women, you could teach your children that. Like, look at this here, baby. You see that? That's Heru. Well, who's Heru, mama? A wicked bastard. Let me tell you about it. You know what I'm saying? For real though, but you have to, the one key point I know with children, because they're impressionable. So if you know something's wicked, you have to repetitively tell them that, but also explain, because remember, Yahuwah repeatedly told you why something was wicked, but he also told you why it was. You just can't say that's evil. They're not going to understand that. You have to impart to them why that, and you have to be honest with them. Don't get stuck on their kids. Say, yes, Heru was a sodomite. Well, what's a sodomite, mama? A man who likes to be with another man. Period. Ain't no sense of trying to clean it up and gloss it up and be like, well, I'll wait till he's 6. Guess what? The adversary ain't waiting till he's 6 to show him a pump. He's showing him a pump now. You know what I'm saying? He going to that elementary school and they showing him sissies now. And you want to wait till he's 10. No, you better tell him now. You better fight fire with fire, because they fight. And they ain't playing no games with it. They don't get, we're not going to push homosexuality on him because he's just 4. We'll wait till he's 5.5. Shoot. They pushing plenty punk. It's plenty school books right now. And sir, I know I seen it in California. They got books with LGBTQ stuff in it. They just seen about the little girl who got in trouble because she refused to participate. 10-year-old girl say, I don't want nothing to do with this sissy stuff. And they suspended her from school. But the thing is, though, is where would she get that from? Her people had to teach her that. And they probably had to teach her that young. You cannot have it in your mind that a child is too young to learn something because you're too uncomfortable with having that conversation with them. Because it's not about they too young to learn. You don't want to have that conversation because you don't want to have to deal with the fact that one day your child is going to be sexually active. Get over it. How do you think you got here? And how do you think they got here? So you need to have that conversation with them. And you need to have it early. You know what I'm talking about? And you need to tell them for the main purpose. Our God don't do man on man. And Heru, he like to be with men. You know what I'm talking about? See, at Starte, she like to do, well, what's an orgy, mom? A whole bunch of nasty people touching themselves in their private places. You better not do it because we don't do that. Our God don't like it. Because if you ain't going to tell them, I guarantee you the world is. Most of what y'all, we had a conversation. Most of y'all said what y'all learn about sex, you learn from your peers or that TV. No, so you're going to set your children up for the same fall when you have the tools and the ability to show them better, and you're going to let them learn from the world and from TV. Ought to be ashamed of yourself. You know what I'm saying? It's an uncomfortable conversation, but it's a conversation that has to be had. Why would you want your children to make the same mistakes that you did? Because you're too scared to have that conversation. You know what I'm saying? You got to have it. Because guess what? What you going to do if Big Rough Billy walk up on your son trying to turn him into a sodomite? He don't know what's going on with that. You know what I'm talking about? Daddy, you know, like this here, you check it. Son, why you got blood in your drawers?
Having a relationship, he texted me, I'm sorry, I took your virginity. Yeah, his parents found out. Yeah.
Come on, man.
What is 15? And big grown. So
Big grown nigga. But see, somebody will look at it like, we'll look at it from this perspective, right? And I know how that most of us will feel. Well, I'm 15, the nigga ain't gonna try me like that. But at the same token, you 15 years old. You knew how stupid you was when you were 15. Most of us never ran across anybody with the manipulative skills to convince you that something that is improper is proper. Most of us have never been manipulated to that fact. You know what I'm saying? Because you already, you think back, I'm 15, I know everything. But you were stupid when you were 15. And if you would have met the right person, you'd have been out here doing things you wouldn't even believe, male or female. Look at how many of these kids get manipulated to go out here and shoot niggas and rob niggas. So you shocked because a nigga talk a 15-year-old boy out his booty? Absolutely. That's what the main part where they gonna get you. Y'all know that's what the WNBA is for, to promote lesbianism. Nobody want to watch no chicks play basketball. You know what I'm talking about? Y'all know the WNBA been around for almost 30 years. How many of you niggas done watched 10 games in your lifetime? I rest my case. You like lesbians, huh? One or two? Lesbians. Guess what? You know the women's soccer team just won the World Cup. And you know what they pushing for? Equal pay. And then guess what? They ran a chick out there and guess what she was? A bull dagger. But at the same token, they see, but that's just mother goddess worship. Why should you get equal pay if I gross $1 billion and you gross $500,000? How you should be getting the pay the same as me? Because don't nobody want to watch no women play nothing. You got lingerie football and niggas don't watch that. They got lingerie football and people don't watch that. So you know what I'm saying? So nigga, they just trying to promote lesbianism. They want you to send your daughter around there. Look, go get a WNBA, baby. Next thing you know, she a carpet muncher. She come back, don't call me Judy no more. Call me Dave. James, no, she want a whole different name. They usually keep that name. Oh, Brittany Griner. I don't know what Brittany. She kept a real name though. I bet you would know that. She also got sued for child support and had to pay. That ain't even your baby, baby. You ain't even whipped nothing out. Walking around here with a whole strap on. I just met.
The couple with a lady, she wanted to be a trans, she wanted to be a man, she transitioned to a man, but still was a lady. It was with a gay man, and they had babies. Like
Backwards. Then you know you got your man Bruce Jenner. Little Bruce. What that nigga call himself now? What Bruce call himself? Caitlyn. That wasn't no good for no money. He an MK asset itself. What's Genesis 35:1? I'm just letting you know though. Y'all remember y'all know what Proverbs 4 say, right? Guard your heart. Because the issues of life proceed out of it. So you have to remember, I keep telling y'all that they don't have discernment.
Okay, so I was telling, I was saying like they only women because they all manly women. And it's like all the other books they lose because they teach they women to be women.
And what? What's your point?
And it's like too, like the only reason why America.
It's possible. I can't call it of how those other women are. But I mean, shoot, they probably all look manly.
But he said like they don't like in America they
No, I think no. I just think that the
China they push their women to be. You know what I mean?
now when they had on ESPN on the little talk, man, they had one gay lady that you could tell she was really gay. They had pink hair, and then they had the other lady that looked like her that was both on the team at the same time. So I don't know what angle they're trying to push. Like, like this could be like this.
it still be. Oh no. Oh yeah. They can push you. You can be the manly dyke, and you can be the lipstick dyke. But either way, be a dyke. Because at the end of the day, that's what they pushing, and it's a part of female empowerment. And if you look at any culture or society that pushes female empowerment, the destruction of that society didn't follow too far behind. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
No, I'm saying one of the videos I was watching, the guy was like, they call it a pride parade. It's like, you know what the Bible says about pride.
Oh yeah, matter of fact, I'll read it to you. Y'all know what the book say about pride? No, I say, shoot, pride come before destruction.
So they pride.
Yeah, pride come before destruction. So before the destruction come, you lift it up. And, y'all hate proud people. You know what I'm saying? And he hate that. And when you see female empowerment, all that does is push people to be proud because we're simple. Because like I was just telling them, right? When what was this instance I was looking at where I wasn't moved by the Central Park Five because I know, or Colin Kaepernick, because I didn't care nothing about that because I know that that's a trigger. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to trigger you to respond in a particular type of way. I have enough sense to know that's what I was talking about being emotionally mature. When you're emotionally mature, you cannot be triggered. You know what I'm saying? If you're triggered, that means you're emotionally immature because that's what they do to mind control subjects. That means you have trauma because that's the only way that you can be triggered. Yahusha could not be triggered. Yahusha was sitting there looking at these people and they said he looked on them with anger in his heart because of their unbelief. But he didn't react that way because he was emotionally mature, meaning he was a spiritual being. So when you're emotionally mature, that means you move according to the Ruach HaElohim. That means you could never be triggered. This is why he say when he was reviled, he didn't revile back. And when he was threatened, he didn't threaten back. But he committed himself to him who judges righteously. The same token you see that with Jacob, with Laban. Jacob kept getting his wages changed. Laban kept playing games. And he said, my righteousness is going to speak for me because I am emotionally mature, meaning that I have put off the carnal man and put on the body of Elohim. Therefore, I can never be triggered. When an individual can trigger you, that means there's trauma or you don't have control of your spirit. And when that happens, the adversary can have a field day. Nevertheless, Genesis 35:1. Elohim said unto Jacob, arise and go up to Bethel and dwell there, and make there an altar unto Elohim that appeared unto you when you fled from the face of Esau your brother. Then Jacob said unto his house, hold, and to all that were with him, put away the strange gods that are among you, be clean, and change your garments. He said, put them strange gods away, man. And again, that's the same token of being baptized, because what is baptism symbolizing of? Putting off the old man and putting on the new man. Meaning that's what he's telling them. Be clean, change your clothes, get rid of them strange gods. Well, let's talk about one of them strange gods. Let's come over here to Acts 17, if I'm not mistaken. Who in here again say they're not familiar with Osiris? You know about Osiris, John?
Mercury.
17. Nah, Mercury is more so Horus, but shoot, it's the same nigga. Acts chapter 17, verse 16. You know, Will read a little bit about Osiris last night. I meant to get Osiris last night. Pause. But we'll get it right now, though. It says, now while Paul waited for them at Athens, how many of y'all familiar about the structures that are in Athens, Greece? There is a shrine to the god Nike in Athens, Greece to this day. Absolutely. Called the Greek Pantheon, if I'm not mistaken. Now, while Paul was waiting for them at Athens, his ruach was stirred in him when he saw the city wholly given to idolatry. So when he got there, he seen everybody in the city worship a different god. Therefore, disputed he in the synagogue with the Yahudim and with the devout persons in the market daily with them that met him. Then certain philosophers of the Epicureans and the Stoics encountered him. Let's look at those two people. I forgot they were even mentioned. Acts 17 and 17. Now I'm in verse 18. I'm familiar with the Stoics.
I was going to say that.
It's been a while since I looked at the Stoics. Any of y'all remember the Stoics? No, okay, we got to look at Epicurus. That's the name of that dude. Epicurus, he was an ancient Greek philosopher and sage. He had a highly influential school called Empiricanism, and he was born. Well, let's look at what his philosophy is. He says that his philosophy is the greatest good is to seek modest pleasures in order to attain a state of tranquility, freedom from fear, and absence from bodily pain. He had a philosophy of simple pleasure, friendship, and retirement. He is the person who came up, identifies happiness with the pursuit of pleasure and the avoidance of pain rather than with the pure exercise of reason. So what does that sound like? He identifies happiness with the pursuit of pleasure and the avoidance of pain rather than with the pure exercise of reason. So it sounds like to me, those people were like, shoot, had you a good time and forget about your sorrow. What Michael Jackson said, do what you want to do. It's all up to you. They say, you forget about your pain, baby. Smoke this crack rock. But then it would say, but notice the key point of avoid pain, but don't use no reason or logic. Don't use your brain. So what is he telling you to do? Follow your heart. But your heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. And guess what? That philosophy is taught in America to this day. You know what I'm saying? To this day. Let's see if they believe in an afterlife. It said that Epicurus died of a kidney stone. That's painful. Hard rocks in your socks. Now, this is what it means to the Stoic. This was a school of philosophy founded by Zeno of Citium about 300 BC, holding that wise men should be free from passion, unmoved by joy or grief, and submissive to natural law. That's what he believed. This is the dude who started the Stoics, a funny-looking gentleman, if you will. My statement still stands. But it says that he informed this system by logic on the natural world, and that they were known for virtue is the only good for human beings, and that things such as health, wealth, and pleasure are not good or bad in themselves, but have value as a... See, this is just a whole bunch of poppycock. You can't even follow none of this crap. It says they also held that certain destructive emotions resulted from error of judgments and believed that people should maintain a will that is in accord with nature. So when you look at it, he said you should be in accord with nature. He basically telling you that you should be carnal. That's what he's telling you. But throwing a little spicy stuff in there. But let's read verse 18 again. Then certain philosophers of the Puritans and the Stoics encountered him, and some said, "What will this babbler say?" This is what they said about Paul, that this babbler is going to say today. Or other some, he seemed to be a setter forth of strange gods because he preached unto them Yahushua and the resurrection. But it's funny because, quote unquote, it's the same thing. But they felt like, yo, this nigga strange. He talking about resurrecting from the dead. Let me read this unto you, because my homeboy shared this today. And I ran it down on him all the way live. Horus, born December 25th, born of a virgin, star in the east, adorned by 3 kings, teacher at 12, baptized ministry at 30, 12 disciples. Now we do know one thing. December 25th ain't got nothing to do with Yahushua. That's Saturnalia. Y'all know about Saturnalia, don't? Yeah, we'll leave that where it's at. Just another form of Bacchus worship. And I had just forgot the name of the pagan day that Thanksgiving is set on. That's one of the reasons why I don't fool with it. I ain't coming to your house or none of that, because Thanksgiving is right behind Samhain. I think that's how you pronounce it. Yeah, or whatever. That's Halloween. The Druids created Halloween, and the name for Thanksgiving is similar to that. The day that they're actually venerating. You know what I'm saying? See, Thanksgiving has only been around since the early 1900s in this country. They didn't, and of course, y'all should know. But if you didn't know, Christmas was outlawed in America for a time period. Now ask yourself this here: it wasn't because it was a pagan holiday; it was because what they were doing. Yeah, because what they were doing, not just because they were really keeping Saturnalia. So they were Bacchus worshiping. So they punching booty holes in. They were like, we ain't with this over here. Yeah, punch that booty. That's how they felt. Indeed, he definitely had. Now, here's a man named Attis that he's here, born of a virgin, born on December 25th, crucified, dead for 3 days, and resurrected. Let me tell you about Attis. Let me tell you about it. Because Attis is a nasty bastard. Attis is the hangman of Arcana. He has a fusion of a 5 hangman persona. He is a Phrygian god who symbolized life, death, and revival. He rejected Sybil's love and was driven mad, dying after he castrated himself. So because a woman didn't want him, he decided to cut his penis off. This is an individual who they saying is the same as Yahushua. He became a part of Greek lore. Listen what it said. He was conceived when his mother, Nana, ate a fruit from a tree that grew on a site where Aegeus, Sybil's son from Zeus, had its male sex organs castrated and buried. So this man was produced off some fruit where a dead phallus laid. Aegeus grew up to be a handsome man who attracted Sybil's attention. But when he ran away rejecting her love, Sybil chased after him. Aegeus arrived at the side of a pine tree and castrated himself and died. The pine tree protected his spirit while Zeus and Sybil worked to keep his body from rotting. In celebration of his rebirth, Aegeus' followers would do the same and castrate themselves. So he didn't resurrect from the dead. It sounds like, what story does that sound like? His penis get cut off. Let's keep his body together to keep it from rotting so we can reattach it. That is Osiris. That is Osiris. I think that's all we need right there. I don't want to serve no God that want me to cut off my penis. What does our law say about cutting off your penis? Let's look at it. Deuteronomy 23. So every tranny is scarred. Shoot, truth be told, if we go by our law, Tupac was scarred too if he got shot like they said he did the first time. Yeah, he lost a testicle. Yeah, no. Oh, they say in the stones. In the stones. You don't want to lose your stones.
I mean, we already know this, but kids.
That word for wounded in stones is just a wound by crushing. The word is pasah. So it's a wound by bruising. I would definitely say you would have a bruised privy stones if you got a tranny surgery. Nevertheless, he that is wounded in the stones or have his privy member cut off shall not enter into the congregation of Yahuwah. That's all. That's it for old Bruce Jenner then, because I ain't calling that nigga Caitlin. His mama ain't named him Caitlin. His mama named him Bruce. And the word is shafka for privy member, and it literally means a fluid duct, but more specifically, your penis or your urethra. If they get what? They don't take that off. They don't cut your penis off. They cut the vein or that causes your semen to flow. I mean, a nigga ain't got no business getting a vasectomy anyway if you believe in Yahuwah in the first place. But what this particular verse is talking about is if you get your penis cut off. You actually cut your penis off. Because if you get a vasectomy, your penis still there. But that's not even true, because there's men who've had vasectomies and still got a woman pregnant, to show you that you still ain't in control of that. That Yahuwah is in complete and utter control. Let's look at his other persona, because this man has multiple personas. He's the persona of the hangman. Okay, that's just some stuff we don't care. He also watched over the growth of plants as a symbol of rebirth. He was later idolized by the people as their savior. So you know what this sounds like to me? It sounds like it was a nigga got rejected by a chick, cut off his meat, and they deified him. But that's about our buddy Osiris. So let's come back to let me read the last dude. Krishna. Are y'all familiar with Krishna? He was born of a virgin, born on December 25th, performing miracles, crucified and resurrected. But we can see where Attis was not resurrected, now was he? Not at all. And then you got Dionysus. Y'all know who Dionysus is, right? That's Bacchus. That's Bacchus. Born of a virgin, born on December 25th, Alpha and Omega, which is funny because Yahusha was never called Alpha and Omega. That was strictly something that's in Greek. He wouldn't have called himself Alpha and Omega. You know who the god of what's the name of that fraternity? Omega what? What's their logo? Yeah, it's Anubis, the jackal dog. The dog, the jackal. Y'all familiar with an Anubis? The jackal dog. You know the Egyptians like to eat rhinoceros butt. Literally, like to kill rhinoceros and eat it. I'm not being exaggerated. Niggas ate rhinoceros butt. Rhinoceros chops. You know what I'm saying? What's that? It's in danger now? Yeah, I know I can't do it because Yahuwah say you ain't got no business eating no rhinoceros butt. You know what I mean? But pause. You know what I'm talking about? Why you eating that? All the things you could devour, and you say you want some rhinoceros. Come on, man. But not seriously though. But like when you turn around and you look at it, he was the Aleph in the top. So you know what that is? That's the strength of the covenant, the leader of the covenant, Alpha and Omega. Though. And then what? And I don't even know what's the symbol of the Alpha fraternity. Ain't it the Alpha fraternity? What their logo is?
Oh yeah, it's me.
And that's Horus. Look at him.
Oh yeah, no, they're real.
But your fraternity name Greek, but you serve Egyptians. And you know what that is? What we talked about last night. What is that? Confusion and disorder. And a nigga in there stepping and fetching. And you wonder why all them niggas punks. I can't recall. I read it. Oh, yes. Bacchus. I watch all them AKA be hoes. Around here start sucking on everybody's penis. They got Bacchus in them. Sadiddy hoes. I got on pink and green, slut. Cause get what? They go in that spot and they tell them you better suck that penis for Bacchus. That penis gets sucked. Straight up and down. You can have a whole husband and 4 kids. And if they say suck that penis for Bacchus, she gonna go in there and suck that penis. Because it's for Bacchus. I gotta do it. My AKA sisters told me to do it. Now he done gave her a cream pie. Nasty slut. But it is what it is. That's what they in there doing. See, the thing is y'all see what they doing when they let people in, but imagine what they do when everybody leaves and it's just them.
Yeah, all of them, everybody. Graduate, they get circle, like, they get into the mother God.
And my thing is that how they pushed and they fit. But like I told you, it's low-level masonry. It's to get you prepared to be a Mason or an Eastern Star to see how much further you're willing to worship Pan. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's different degrees. That's where Masonry got it from.
And then third is my uncle, third section, he wants to get third.
Now I can tell you that from my research that when you become a 33rd degree Freemason, they bring you, for the most part, they very well will bring you to the big Mason Hall in Washington, D.C. You're going to go in a room and they're going to ask you to spit on the cross. And then based off of you spitting on that cross will determine if you become a 33rd degree Freemason. And basically they say if you spit on the cross, then you recognize that the true and living Elohim is not your God, that it's not the God of the Masons, and that you serve Jah Belom or Pan, you know what I'm saying, or Horus, and then they allow you to become a Shriner, which is crossing over to the east, and then you learn that. That's why you don't see too many young Shriners, because you have to go through Freemasonry to become a Shriner.
He was a Mason. He said he got out at 50. He said, you gotta learn.
Yeah, like when you get a 33rd degree, if a nigga get up to 33rd degree, that is one of the most wicked people on the face of the earth. Oh, they not gonna tell you.
Yeah.
You heard me? They not gonna tell you. She said something she gonna ask. You said you gonna ask your grandma.
No, I'm gonna find out right there. Like, he had a whole he had a whole ceremony in California. But he was really weak though.
Did he have what? He had a Shriner hat?
He had a big hat.
Oh, he was a Shriner. He was 33rd degree without question. No, if he had that fez, he was a Shriner. He crossed over. Oh yeah, he called him the Grand Pontiff. Oh, he was a Shriner. That means he was a 33rd degree Freemason for sure. You can't become a Shriner without being a 33rd degree Freemason. Now, in York Rite Freemasonry, you come up to a 14th degree. They don't have 33 degrees. They have 14 degrees. But I mean, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. Let's come on finish this out. But I'm just mentioning, and the only reason why we mention it is because the Masons are irrelevant. Why they're being mentioned is because they worship the deities of whom we speak. And they teach others to do it. You know what I mean? So you have to be aware of that. Most of us ain't never heard of Attis, Dionysus, Bacchus, because you're not into that. Who cares? But you know what I'm saying? But the funny part is we know everything about LeBron James or Michael Jordan during his time period, and these people worship these very same deities, and we ought to be ashamed. You know, the one thing that always used to trip me out, how black people sit around and talk about television shows of people like they're real. I used to always trip listening to my mama and my auntie talk about soap operas. Them people ain't real. Victor Newman is the figment of someone's mind. He is not a real person. He did not really do that. You know what I'm saying? But do you see how they get a nigga mind? Because they have you watch a show and then group up with a whole bunch of people and talk about fiction as if it's reality, having you highly engrossed in a world that does not exist. You know what I'm saying? So while you're engrossed, but I'm just saying, I mean, we know they're gonna do that, but you don't know that as you coming up, that that's what they doing. You just saying, I mean, do men do it? Yeah, of course, women do it more. Cause ain't too many dudes sitting around watching Young and the Restless. You know what I'm saying? Ain't too many dudes finna get up and jump up and say, boy, let me tell you about, put your drama show here. Yeah, I mean, it's different now because now they have shows for black people catered to that. Niggas do it, some niggas who used to be like, boy, did you see New York Undercover? That junk was dope, but it wasn't that deep. You know what I mean? Now that junk deep because you have men, but I think that's coming for as more men were raised by women and they watch their mamas or their aunties talk about them shows, and then they watching shows that they like, they grouping up with their friends, and they doing the same thing. You know what I'm saying? But that nigga ain't real. I told you, my people used to look at me crazy when I was young, like watching horror movies, and I used to be dying laughing. They were like, what are you laughing for? Because it's not real. Like that person didn't really die. So this is funny to me because this is not real. Freddy Krueger is not coming through that door. You know what I'm talking about? And yeah, all that junk.
That's what I get. Like, this is not how a normal person acts.
You know what I'm saying? Jason Voorhees ain't real. But you have to realize something. Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger, all demons. 9 times out of 10, they're representative of some god of the underworld. You know what I'm saying? And you have to know that. But like I say, it's the discernment to know that. So if your child was like, Mommy, I seen Halloween, can I watch it? Sure, you can watch it, son, if you like devils and whatnot. Well, what do you mean? Well, sit down, son, let me tell you. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just that serious. Like this here, right? Satan don't take nan second off, and you can't either. So you have to work twice as hard as he do to educate your kids. That's just all it is. You know what I mean? You have to make yourself privy. You have to make yourself uncomfortable and force yourself to learn new things. Because at the end of the day, your soul and your children's soul is on the line. 17 and 19, the book of Acts. They took him and brought him under Areopagus, saying, "May we know this new doctrine whereof you speak. For you bring certain strange things to our ears. We would know, therefore, what these things mean." Guess what? You know them Athenians got the same spirit that Hebrews have now. Let's see what it says. He say, for all Athenians and strangers were there, spent their time in nothing else but either to tell or to hear some new thing. That's all, nigga. That's the same thing now. That's the same thing now. All niggas worried about is I'm trying to learn some new thing. He went to tell. How many times y'all done seen a nigga go ahead and grab that word, ready to go tell a nigga something? Let me tell you this new thing that I learned. It says, then Paul stood in the midst of Mars Hill and said, you men of Athens, I perceive that in all things you are too superstitious. Y'all familiar with Mars Hill? Mars Hill was actually a prominent rock located in the Acropolis in Athens. It functioned as a court for trying deliberate homicides. Now, you know Mars is the Roman god of war. And let's look at all his affiliates. He was only second to Jupiter in the Roman pantheon. Almost most of the myths involving the gods were borrowed from the Greek god of war, Ares. Mars, nevertheless, had some features which were uniquely human, or Roman, I should say. And guess what? Niggas be quick to say, I'm an Ares. You's a pagan god. That's what you is, you big dummy. You know what I'm talking about? That goes back to what I was telling you about the red carpet. The red carpet is to venerate Mars. Mars is Ares. Ares is Horus. He was also, you notice that all these gods usually be agricultural in nature because these people are Wiccans, so to speak. Yeah, the heart, exactly. And they worship their gods.
hoping that the crop could be what?
I ain't even
They just hoping their crops come through.
I mean, you know, that's they did farm. So you got to bring something that the crops come through. Oh, no, that's what we were saying. All about something.
Agriculture. It also says that he was the god of nature, fertility, spring, the god of death, and the protector of cattle. And guess what his symbols are? A spear, a wolf, and a woodpecker. I'm trying to find his Egyptian equivalent. Because I can't remember what his Egyptian equivalent is. Oh yeah, but y'all remember Vulcan, right?
No, that's
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's Amun Ra. Yeah. You know, I forgot about you got good old Amun Ra Patah, nigga that liked it from the back. I be forgetting about Amun Ra because they don't never talk. Only time they ever mention it. Because no, I'm talking about Kemetic niggas. Because they only mention Amun Ra when they want to talk about you say amen. That's Amun Ra. Amun Ra. Yeah.
They don't really say much about the Titans. They don't really talk about society.
Let's take this out, right? Verse 23, right? It says, "For as I passed by and beheld your devotions, I found an altar with this inscription: to the unknown God, whom you therefore innerly worship, him declare I unto you." Well, Osiris is known as the unknown God. You know what I'm saying? So like I told you last night, when you see niggas like this here, you seen Dez Bryant doing all this here, 9 times out of 10, he was venerating Osiris. Making that X, because that's how Osiris is seen. He's seen doing this here, which is probably why they lay niggas in the casket like that. Now, I didn't say all niggas. I'm saying like for certain people, where really I'm talking about especially those in the craft, and you see them in the casket like that. Or just like you seen like when Aaliyah died, you seen them niggas balancing her casket on their shoulder. That's a Masonic rite.
And they do that just because, like you said, they worship. And just for like Egyptian in their world, that is beauty. That's why they mummify them.
Absolutely.
To make them look nice when they're dead versus
put him in the ground, cause that's what we did. Toss that nigga in the what you call it?
So now they
sepulcher and be gone.
Honestly, that's Egyptian worship.
Absolutely, because we didn't have funerals. That's definitely what they did in the pyramids. Oh, you talking about that? But hold on, y'all. This is Osiris, the green god. You can't probably see him too good. How that thing shining. That nigga ugly, but you see him. Green nigga. He green because he's the god of vegetation. He's the god of life and death and the afterlife. He was murdered by his brother Set because Osiris was the pharaoh and Set wanted to be. And what movie does that sound like to you? That's the Lion King. Yeah. They were doing that because you got to remember that's an African-based film. Like we had that conversation before we went. I expected to see plenty of African worship in that film, and they did not disappoint. Black Panther. Just like Osiris did. That's why, and the cup that he was giving him is really supposed to be blood, which give him the power. That whole movie was about Osiris. That's why I'm like, when niggas seen it, and they like Wakanda forever. You niggas is corny. And that's Osiris. And then what would they do? How did they get the vibranium, right? What did they have to do? They had to what? The mine for it, right? The vegetation. And then it also showed you Mother Goddess stuff, because this nigga the king, and he had to beg a bald-headed hoe to be his old lady. Well, no king beg no woman to be with him. I'm the king, nigga. You lucky to be with me. I'm the king. We ain't just talking about a dude who say he a man. He's the king, and he the Black Panther. And I'm chasing behind you. Be my girlfriend. Shoot, I told that whole grow some hair. Man, I would have told her grow some hair. You talking about chase you, nigga? Bald headed self, nigga. Well, how am I supposed to get off on this hair? Rubbing your scalp? You know what I'm saying? What you want me to scratch it? You know what I'm saying? We both get waves. You know what I'm saying? She got a low fade. What difference does it make? It's a bald-headed hoe trying to teach your son to worship coochie. At the end of the day, you took your son to see a movie for him to worship some coochie. Because that's what they were teaching him. Nigga, that's stupid. Ain't a woman in the world fine enough to chase. But that's what he was doing. He was chasing her validation the whole film. That's goddess worship. He was. What you mean? That junk's apparent. Ain't no kind of sorta. That was blatant. What you mean low key? It wasn't low key at all. But the whole point of the matter is, he's the king. What king in the history of kingdoms has ever chased a woman? I can replace you, ho. I can get. What did Xerxes do when Vashti didn't come? Well, get rid of that hoe and send a new one in here. He didn't chase no butt. That nigga stole some butt. David, he ain't chased no butt. He ain't chased her. That nigga went down and said, "Oh, she naked," and smashed. He ain't chased her.
He said, "Hey, he told my son to go get that nigga off my chain."
He probably didn't even tell her. He probably didn't even tell her. He probably just was like this here. Oh, woo-hoo-hoo! It's me now. Yeah, he did. He seen her butt naked. Tell her, come over here. Who gonna tell the king no? I'm the king. But you know, there's a reason why the book tell you that a king shouldn't multiply wives, because women can be a distraction. You know what I'm saying? Because they want attention. So if you're trying to do something, she's gonna take that away from you. Oh, but that was custom. He just asked about what about Jacob working 14 years for a woman? That was custom. That was custom. That's what you had to do because that was a dowry. That's how he paid his dowry. That's custom.
That was the price he paid. She was really whatever woman you want,
whatever the daddy say, that's what it was. That was custom. You know what I'm saying? If you was like, hey, son, like it's no different than, okay, put it this way, because David did it too. What did David have to do to get a wife for one of Saul's daughters? He had to cut off foreskin of like 200 Philistines, if I'm not mistaken. It might have been 50, because that's the dowry that Saul wanted. You know what I'm saying? If you really want my daughter. You know what I'm saying?
Are you out to complete the task? Are you gonna follow through?
Or you gonna say, you know what? I pass. But I mean, even now, like you gentlemen who have daughters, if you were dealing with somebody in the word, you could set a dowry for your daughter. You would not be wrong if you chose to do that. If you entered into a covenant relationship with another family and say, hey, I'll give my daughter to your son, and I want 1, 2, 3. This is what I want. Because you got to remember your daughter. They paid a dowry because you know your daughter was basically the father's possession. You know what I'm saying? And that's ownership transfer. You know what I mean? That's ownership transfer. That too, but that was just what it was, because like I said, you know, the woman never determined who she was going to be with. She never had a time period in her life where she was on her own to make her own choices and decisions. You know what I'm saying? You went from your father's house to your husband. Your father was over you. Your husband was over you. You never had free reign to come out here and do what you want to do. That never happened. Well, I can say that never happened. That wasn't supposed to happen. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's not supposed to happen. So when we look at, let's read about a little bit more about Osiris. Here said they think they do that in Nigeria because the guy was complaining in the artist group that it cost too much to get a wife in Nigeria because they had a list of things that they had to pay before marriage. That's how it works. You know what I'm saying? These dudes ain't get, that's in America, go date. That's why women always say they want romance. There was no concept of romance in the ancient world. It did not exist. You know what I'm saying? And that's why a lot of, if you come with a different mind frame with a woman who hasn't transformed her mind over, that's why there's conflict. You know what I'm saying? Because you want to be wooed like they showed you on TV. But that's not reality. That's not how that works. Why do you think so many women are easily being able to be deceived? Here's something about Osiris and Dionysus. Why do you think so women are so easily to be deceived in this culture? Because they sold you romance. Dudes know you want romance, and then they will give you what you're looking for to achieve what it is that they want. It's one of the reasons why you have such a high divorce rate in this country. It's why you have so much whoredom in this country. Because you have women who have free reign looking for a platitude and romance and love, and they haven't been told what love is, and then when they're told what it is, they don't want it. You know what I'm saying? Because it doesn't fit their idea of what it is. Because like I tell you, you can learn to love somebody. Like for us to mention to y'all now that if a nigga would just took you and said, this who you gonna marry, you would buck. I don't love him. I don't want to be with him. But if you were raised in that culture, you wouldn't have thought nothing of it. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I'm marrying such and such. Okay. And you would have went and you would have been that man's wife and you would have loved him to the day that he or you died. Period. You know what I'm saying? You wouldn't have known anything else. But because now you live in a culture where you can make a choice, you know what I'm saying? It's different. And that's why a lot of women choose the wrong man. They choose spouses. They don't even play them type of games. They're not finna leave that up to chance. They're not finna do that. But you know why? Well, you notice you said the elites, people with a ruling class mentality will not leave the mating of their seeds up to chance. They're not going to do it. You know what I'm saying? Only low-level people leave that up to chance. You know what I'm saying? Go on out there and pick you one, son. It might take you 15 to get it right, but go ahead and do it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they don't do that. Yeah, that's not going to happen. It say by the Hellenic era, the Greek awareness in Osiris had grown, and they tried to merge in with Greek philosophy, and it resulted in a new mystery religion, which was exported other Greek sphere of influence. However, these mystery religions value change in wisdom, personality, and knowledge of the truth rather than exact details of accepted myths, and Osiris became Dionysus, who became Bacchus. So when you see this unknown God, this is why Paul coming through like, oh no, ain't no unknown God, nigga. We know who he is. His name is Yahuwah. Let's continue and look at what Paul said. Elohim that made the world and all things therein, seeing that he is the Lord of heaven and earth, dwell not in temple made with hands. Neither is worship with men's hands as though he needed anything, seeing he give life to all, breath in all things. He has made of one blood all nations of men for to dwell on all the face of the earth, and have determined the times before appointed and the bounds of their habitation, that they should seek the Lord and happily might feel after him and find him, though he be not far from every one of us. For in him we live and move, and we have our being, as certain also of your own poets have said, for we are his offspring. For as much then as we are the offspring of Elohim, we ought not to think that the Godhead is like unto gold, or silver, or stone, or graven art by man's devices. And again, that's going back to what we read in Isaiah 40 last week, about them statues that they be making. Because that's what they do. And like I told you, that's what they do with action figures. When you sit back and look at it, we mentioned Black Panther. So T'Challa is really, when they make that Black Panther toy, he's just another idol for Osiris in a different fashion. You gonna see a Black Panther toy. You know what I'm talking about? They see, I sold you Osiris. You know what I'm saying? You see an Iron Man toy. They see, we sold you Vulcan. You know what I'm saying? That's how they operate. So You have an idol god in your house, and they're hoping that you transform that from a toy to idol worship. And a lot of times where you see that at is how dudes act about them toys, but not grown people, by not taking them out the package and going to them comic book conventions and dressing up and doing all this and doing all that. And that's idol worship. You know what I'm saying? And it's subtle. And we'll look at it. What's the big deal? It's just a convention. It's not the convention. It's the mindset of the people who attend the convention. You know what I'm saying? Because now they're worshiping these deities, regardless if they're consciously doing it or not.
He had a bunch of extras, and we had got rid of him. We had to regret, but before that, like, he was playing with him so much when they had, like, he was liking outside. And he was like, oh, that's where it comes from, Thor. And we was like, I was like, oh my God. And so after the prayer, we went with it, and I told him, like, it comes from y'all. But it really, like, woke me up when he said that, like, I was like, oh my God, that's really where he thinks, like,
Absolutely, because he's seen it in the movie. And that's their whole objective and goal. That's a living example of what I'm talking about. That's their goal, because he doesn't have the discernment to know any better. He don't know. All he sees is Thor in the movie. Thor make lightning come. Thor's the god of lightning. That's all he knows. That's not his fault. It's off. It's on us to make sure. Oh no, son. No. But that's a prime example of why I'm talking about what we talking about, because that engineers his brain. And then let's just say you was in the world and you ain't paying no mind. You'd have been like, boy, lightning come from heaven. And you'd have gone about your business. But by the time he get 20, 25 years old, he an atheist. You know what I'm saying? Because he would have been inundated and bombarded with idolatrous worship for so long that somebody coming to talk to him about Yahuwah wouldn't even penetrate his heart. Because he wouldn't know anything about Yahuwah, because he would have never heard of it. All he would have heard of is Thor. All he would have heard of is Osiris. All he would have heard of was Horus. You know what I'm saying? He wouldn't have wanted anything to do with it. And that's what I mean about we have to stop looking at it as it is not entertainment. It is literally pagan propaganda. You know what I'm saying? That's exactly what it is. It's exactly what it is. It's no more and no less. It is pagan propaganda. You know what I mean? Like I said, and I'm trying to think of more of them. But like this here, man, Superman ain't nothing but ball. You know what I'm saying? And you don't pick up on it. And the reason why I say that is, again, like I said, we're not familiar with that. You ain't never seen nobody worship Thor. But if we were living in Sweden, if we was living in the Netherlands, you may be accustomed to the mythologies of Thor, because that's where he come from. You would be familiar with Odin. You know what I'm saying? Because you would have been hearing about that, because that's part of their culture. They people know about that type of stuff. Again, that goes back to the fact that we don't have a culture. So we derive our culture from entertainment. Our culture literally comes through the radio and television. And of all the races of people, I would be willing to wager that we probably are the biggest purveyors of sitting our children in front of that television and walking off. You know what I'm saying? And then because they want to mimic that. You know what I'm saying? That's why they put adult themes in cartoons, because it's the colors that appeal to the children. They know that's what appeals to them. That's why they made Family Guy the way they make it. That's why they make The Simpsons where they make it. Even though they might put it on at 8 o'clock at night, they know that if you watching it, your kid's probably in the room, and that cartoon is going to grab their attention. And boom. Like they got Adult Swim, but Adult Swim ain't nothing but cartoons. Because like I told you, they're hoping that you take it, and because you watched it, that you watch it with your kids. That's their hope. You know what I'm saying? And that you give it to them, and that you play a pivotal role in their indoctrination into the propaganda of idolatrous worship. These people know what they be doing. You know what I'm talking about? It's not by accident. It's very calculated. See, it's not calculated on our end because we think in a low-level fashion. You don't think skillfully and tactfully enough to even plot nothing like that out. Niggas don't even plot and plan their life out. So that's how it goes. He's saying that in the times of ignorance, Elohim winked at, but now command all men everywhere to repent. So he winked at you looking at another God. Let's take a look at another God. We talked about him the other day. Isaiah 46. Oh, Baal and Nebo. Because I didn't get to that how I wanted to. It was another God I said I wanted to get, but I can't remember what his name is. Isaiah 46 and 1.
Somebody.
No, he was just talking about Baal and the dragon, because that's in the Apocrypha when I mentioned Baal. Say, Baal bowed down and Neo stooped. Their idols were upon the beasts and upon cattle. Your carriages were heavy laden. They are a burden to the weary beast. They stoop, they bow down together. They could not deliver the burden, but themselves are gone into captivity. So listen what he's telling you, right? These two gods could not deliver themselves from the exile that they are under. Let's look at a couple of the words. I think I got all the gods on here. Oh, I didn't get to Mithra. Any of y'all familiar with Mithra? And when you look at this picture of Mithra, Mithra actually looks like the Statue of Liberty, looks like Columbia, because you see the sun rays on his head. You also know him as Mithras. Mithras is AKA Saturnalia, the god who is actually worshipped on December 25th. The sun god. That's why he has those rays on his head like you see with the Statue of Liberty. Because that's what's on the Statue of Liberty. Those are sun rays. Because that's a sun deity. They claim he was born on December 25th, had 12 disciples, Sunday worship. Yeah, he is, but I'm talking about, but Mithras and Saturnalia is the same person. You know what I'm saying? Which is Horus. But I'm talking about his forefathers. The festival of Saturnalia is what's worshipped on December 25th. Mithras was a Persian deity. Saturnalia is his Roman name. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, we clown about it for years, but yes, that's what they did on the Roman side. Had homosexual sex and went home and beat up their wives after exchanging gifts. You know what I'm talking about? This is what they did on Christmas. They had homosexual sex and then went home and beat up their wives after they exchanged gifts with their homosexual lovers. This is why Christmas was banned in America all the way up to about the late 1800s, early 1900s, because that's what they did on it. See, when Emperor Constantine came over the Roman Empire, he wanted to take and blend the pagan worship of the land, but also he's seen that quote unquote Christianity was proliferating. You know what I'm saying? So he gradually, and it's in 48 Laws of Power goes over it in detail with the law of priest change and don't reform too quickly. And it details what Constantine did, of how he made a slow, gradual process from the Saturnalian rites to making it Christmas. How they took the word and nailed it with their, because he didn't want to offend the Christians and he didn't want to offend the pagans. He wanted to keep his kingdom intact. And that's how Christmas came about, is in regards of the custom that you know it as of now. You know what I'm saying? Because he knew he couldn't do that. Because he knew that the quote unquote Christians were going to snap. He knew the worshipers of Bacchus were going to snap. So he just came with a slow, healthy medium. And preach change and don't reform too quickly is symbolic of how they have gradually pushed homosexuality. The plan for homosexuality has taken them about 120 years to execute. They slow grinded it. They started in 1900, like the detailed plan of what they have, and they just brought it in slowly. And the first place they started it with was women's suffrage rights. Because who's the biggest protector and purveyor of homosexuals? Women. You know what I'm saying? And they push it and they pushed it. And like I said, you know, by 1998, they put Ellen on TV as the first lesbian character on television. Put that lesbian dude who was on The Real World Miami. And 20 years later, it's punks everywhere and niggas shocked. Like I'm telling you, you already know, I done told y'all this before. I come from an era where you ain't see punks and bulldaggers like that. Oh yeah, Katrina says Shazam goes right along with Thor and Superman and with jinns, because Shazam, he was a genie, because the word genie is from the Arabic word jinn, which is a word for demon. You know what I'm saying? So he's got a mix of, Shaq was playing ball, jinn, and Thor. Right in your face, and you sitting there watching it. Why? Because it's Shaq. Indeed it was. I watched 15 minutes of it and departed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I had to sit down and look at Shrek, because I guarantee you with Shrek being set in medieval times, it's probably some good old-fashioned mythology in that. Because I've never sat and watched Shrek. I had no desire to do so.
It's very practical.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Very
Yeah, that's true.
Oh yeah, you better take that thing, throw that nigga in the trash. Well, there it is. Like I said, I've never watched it. I knew it was set in medieval times. Look how they push witchcraft right after that. Like what we were talking about, how it's acceptable now to do that because they prepped you for it. They gave you a movie like Shrek. They gave you Harry Potter. They gave you all that stuff to make you comfortable with doing it. You know what I'm saying?
I used to be a Harry Potter fan, boy. I can tell, right?
Yeah.
So,
But it's to make you comfortable with it.
Well, not back then. I was a dance, but it got Harry Potter.
I think that be.
Yeah, it's to make, but then that's how that comes to where now you see in 2019, I'm comfortable with having crystals and stones and tarot cards. I'm comfortable with it because they've prepped you with propaganda to receive it. And you got to understand the way. See, I told y'all about quiet weapons for silent wars. It's a silent war. They're raging for your soul. So it's subtle. I'm going to get you through movies. I'm going to get you through TV. I'm going to get you through music. You know, they just can't come out here and say, be a witch. You know what I'm talking about? Be a homosexual. They can't do that because if it's direct and overt, you're going to resist. You know what I'm saying? And it's going to be backlash because you're going to fight back.
all this going on,
Prepping you up for it, to get you prepared for something that you didn't see coming. Stanley, you already know what I tell you about that movie, Misdirection, Stanley. That's the best way to get a nigga. Have him look left when I'm coming with the right hook. You remember what his name was? Cool Breeze told you. You better what? Watch for the hook. Because that's where they come from. Kira says she was crazy about Harry Potter. She remembered the mobile book in front of her house. The library guy had a book on witchcraft, and the guy looked scared and said no. But you know what ends up happening with that? You watch Harry Potter, now you get curious about witchcraft. Now you want to look into it, see what it is. Next thing you know, you're a wicked. I'm trying to find it's a different word for idols. Let me get to find that word for idol. I had it already. I definitely did. Come over here to 1 Kings 15 and 13 real quick. We pick it up about 15 and 9. I mean, it is what it is. Like I said, you have to protect your spirit, you know what I mean? And you got to protect your kid's spirit. That stuff ain't no joke. Like I said, if she like this here, if she like Christian could compare Thor to having the ability to create lightning, then just imagine what type of subconscious stuff has been implanted in us that you wasn't aware of as a child that you believe. You know what I'm saying? And that's subtle. Because like I said, he has no conscious idea of what they're doing. All he's doing is equating it to something that he saw. That's how propaganda works. You know what I'm saying? They call it winning the hearts and minds of the people, which is what you see Absalom. Ain't that what it said Absalom did? Won the hearts of the people. What did he win the hearts of the people with? Propaganda. So while he was saying one thing, he was subtly inferring something else, which was to overthrow David. And before the people knew it, they was down with him to do it. And that's how the adversary worked. And it says, and in the 20th year of Jeroboam, Malach of Yasharal, reigned Asa over Yehuda. 41 years reigned he in Jerusalem, and his mother's name was Maacah, the daughter of Absalom. Asa did that which was right in the eyes of Yahuwah, as David his father. And he took away the sodomites out of the land and removed all the idols out of the land. Now, I'm going to tell you what that word sodomite is. I think we just talked about it not too long ago. That is a male temple prostitute, if you don't remember. You have to remember, in those temples of Asherah, in those groves, homosexuality was going on. You know what I'm saying? You have to remember that. I ain't saying that to be funny or nothing like this here. That's just the real talk. The word for idols here is galul, and it means idols, but that's not the word idol we want. It said in Makah, his mother, even her he removed from being Malkah because she made an idol in the grove, and Asa destroyed her idol and burnt it in the brook of Kidron. Now I'm going to read you this word idol, but then I want you to go grab Isaiah 29 and about 5. Now the word idol in that verse is mishaleth. It means something that's horrid or horrible. Now I'm gonna give you the characters while we hold that Isaiah 29. You got mean, you got pay, you got lamad, you got sod, and you got tau. The word is miflaseth, which is the word for idol in 1 Kings 15 and 13. It means something that's a horrible or horrid thing. You have mean, you have pay, you have lamad, you have sod, and you have tau. You have a lamad. You got mean, pay, lamad, sod, and hay. And those are interesting characters in regards to it speaking of an idol. Very, very interesting characters. The first thing that's interesting with that meme, it would be what? That's chaos. So first thing we see with this horrible thing, it has disorder. So then when you see that pay behind it, then that's a mouth speaking chaos. Then you got the lamar right behind it. So this mouth is teaching chaos. You know what I'm saying? Then if you got this here, huh? Oh yeah, no doubt. Then when you got the sod, so now you have the way that this mouth is teaching chaos to cause you to do what? To enter into a covenant or to receive a mark. Now, when we come back to Baal and Nebo, let's go to Isaiah 29. See, that's how this going to come in. Remember, Nebo means what? Did anybody remember what Nebo means? I mentioned it last week. Anybody remember what Nebo means?
Oh yeah, Mount Nebo.
It is, if I'm not mistaken. I believe you're correct, sir. But we're talking about Baal and Nebo, but I believe you're absolutely, because Mount Nebo does sound familiar. I believe you're correct, sir. Isaiah chapter 29. Is it 29? I think I'm in the wrong place. I don't see what I'm thinking about. It's 27. I'm tripping. Anybody remember what Nebo means? Means prophet. Prophet. Like a prophet. So you got Baal and his prophet. That's what Moses died at the Mount of the Prophet. Nebo means prophet. Oh, that's right. I was going to talk about astrology today, but we don't have time. Say that for next week, because astrology is a long, long topic. Remember, an astrologer is nothing but a witch. A witch. An astrologer. In the book of Daniel, it is going to tell you that this is an enchanter, a wizard, and a necromancer. You know what I'm saying? Niggas around here talking about, let me tell you about your horoscope. Get your wicked butt away from me. How many of y'all used to look at your horoscope? You look like a horoscope reader. You did. Was it ever right?
I be feeling like that jump be general. They be like,
I even look at it to see how real it was.
I feel like it could subconsciously plant things in your mind. I think I'm this way because it says I'm this way. I'm always heard.
No, when I'm talking about your horoscope, I ain't talking about your characteristics. Horoscope predicted, they have daily horoscopes where they predict things for certain people.
I know what you're talking about. It was just like,
More based on the sun.
Yeah. But I'm talking about.
I know what you're saying.
like you're a hard working person. Say something like that where it's any person.
Yeah, I used to look at it too just to see what it would say. If I had a newspaper, let me see what this junk say. Nigga, you lying. That junk ain't happen today. About you gonna get some money today. Nigga, I'm broke. You know what I'm saying? I think everybody done took a look at it just to see.
Hey, but one thing that is kind of line up with that, your birthday, not the sign, baby was born, and it's like the day you're born, and the month you're born, and like this the day, not the day you're born, but if you look at that, I ain't gonna lie, that doesn't seem like it was kind of like, it's at least it's some sort of something that they use, that just kind of like.
I don't know, man. I believe all that junk a big bunch of monkey crap. Because the last relationship I was in, that nigga told me, it says that our two signs are compatible and we supposed to be together forever.
The signs is like through the constellation. That junk is like over a month and a half. Like any day that falls up, I was just talking about like actual literal dates.
I already know that because I know niggas who do birth charts and they chart this junk and they follow this junk like very, very indefinitely. You know what I'm saying? And all that junk come from Egypt because they did all that junk. Checking stars. See, right now, I'm in my star is in the sign of Aquarius. So let me get your corner behind out of that. If you would invest that time in something else, nigga, you might have some money.
It's not the same way people be about the moon, like they move, like, you know, whatever. Like I see people on my timeline and be like, you know, how the moon is, that's not this be. It's like a blood.
Yeah.
And that junk come from Egypt. They talking about we new mooning. That's why I said last night, you're new fool. You're new stupid. Birthstones is a little different. Because that's just, I'm wearing the stone in the month I was born. But they talking about but you notice who do all that new moon stuff? Women. You know what I'm saying? That be women that do it because it's witchcraft. Women. You don't see no dudes talking about check your moon chart. I only know one dude who do that. And that nigga deal with Buddhism and all manner of things. You know what I'm saying? Started with the word. Word wasn't enough. You know what I mean? But that's women stuff. And then guess what? Dudes stamp it. You know what I'm saying? But that junk witchcraft. That junk is full-fledged witchcraft. You come at me talking about, man, the moon ain't got no effect on nobody's behavior. That's just a cap. Because what did the book say? A man is enticed and drawn away by his own lust. Ain't no moon got you acting like that. That's your wicked heart, nigga. You know what I'm talking about? Ain't no constellation got you acting like that. That's your wicked heart, nigga. What did he say? A warlock is a male witch. That was actually the Locks' original rap name, was Warlocks, and they made them change it. That's why they just called the Locks. They made them change it. Yeah, they were called the Warlocks. You didn't know that, huh? Yeah, that's their original name. Very disappointed. I hear you, man. But not dead serious though. Like the month you was born, because at that particular juncture, you're saying that the creation that Yah created dictates how you behave.
Right. So that's how I was the items are set up according to how the world works. So
Absolutely.
You're worshiping items, you're worshiping creation all at the
Same time.
And then you worship man
at the same time. So you are just completely mired in idolatry. You know what I mean? You completely mired in it. Like you have to ask yourself. You have to ask yourself, how could the moon dictate how you behave? It can't. Because what did Yah say he made the moon for? A light, not that, oh, you're in the moon. We're in the third retrograde of the moon. Therefore, you could be highly emotional. It would be best to limit your interactions. You sound like a jackass. You know what I'm talking about? That's what they say. Oh, it's the new moon. You must go and purge your parasites. Make sure that you hold your amethysts. There's words that I would use for that, but I can't use them because children are in the room. Because why? Because it's Buddhism. Because that's Buddhism. That's Buddhism. That's what they teach. But you, like I told you, you know why they upset? Guess what? Who would say when you was upset? Seek his face. Now go grab some crystals and be like this here, Om, calling on another god, because Om is a god. That's a god in the Mason Hall. When you hear them niggas, guess what? You seen what Angela Bassett playing what her name is, Tina Turner, and guess what she was trying to teach you about? Whole time, Buddhism. Buddhism. You'll be surprised how many people are Buddhists that are famous. Most people who you see famous, they don't deal with Yahuwah at all. You know what I'm saying? That's why when you hear them say, I want to thank God, you have to be like, what God is they talking about? Because it's a lot of gods. What God? See, but we don't even have, but guess what? If you had that training as a child, guess what you would have known? What God you talking about, Lil Wayne? What God you talking about, Russell Simmons? You know what I'm saying? And that woman done showed you that she is a pure worshiper of Pan. A pure worshiper of Pan. But you don't remember the lady just came out and said she was a witch? Said, you know, I mean, it's a believable only because of she shows you that she worships Pan. She casting spells. That's why I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna be honest with you. And this is dead real. And I learned this before the word and after. You have to be very, very, very careful going to music concerts. It would be wise to limit your interactions to concerts to a bare minimum or nothing, because all it is a big witch coven to cast spells. That's it. That's the sole objective. I have the ability to cast spells on thousands of people at one time. You know what I'm saying? Now, and you just gave another real life example of somebody said, I didn't fool with this person, but then I went to this show and now I'm her #1 fan because that is for casting of spells. And you have to, I don't care who the artist is, their objective is to cast spells. And if you know you serve Yahuwah, do you have to ask yourself, as much as I might like this music, is it wise for me to walk in a place where I know a spell is being cast? Oh, because he's going to cast a spell on you. They all going to cast a spell. I don't care who the artist is. It can be a low-level nigga from around the corner. He just ain't got no pagan power behind him. But he casting spells. Because all these people want you to do is it's propaganda. Got to be careful. Amen. The book tell you guard your heart. It's not no. See, man. At the end of the day, what he tell you? The weapons of our warfare are not carnal. There's a spiritual warfare. That's what? That's in principalities and high places. You know what I'm saying? We're against spiritual wickedness. It's a battle that you can't see. See, you looking at it as a battle like, oh, this sinner over here trying to get me to keep Christmas. These people warring for your soul every minute of every day. Do you know what I'm saying? And if you walk around ignorant like it's sweet, you're going to lose your soul. No, that's Bohemian Grove. That's for Molech. No, it is for Molech. I don't know when it is. There's another pagan holiday on the 20th of July. So don't be shocked. Don't be shocked if somebody come up dead. You know what I'm saying? That's just what I was telling them. Like, if you know when the pagan days are, then when somebody come up dead that's famous, you're not going to be shocked. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be like, oh, they offered them up to Rhiannon. They offered it up to Kali Ma. Not you. You didn't know about Kali Ma? I just told you. Kali Ma. I just found out that's not your name. I didn't know that. Yeah, I'm aware. So you're not named after a pagan god. I apologize. Your people did not name you Kali Ma. Kali Ma is the destroyer goddess. Ugly woman. You know what I'm saying? Got 2 fangs in her stomach, ticking out, scare your churn. You know what I'm saying? That's them Hindu gods. Them Hindu gods ugly. You nigga, any nigga telling you about some chakras, that nigga around here is a stupid nigga. You know what I'm saying? Nigga ain't even your culture, nigga. You know what I'm talking about? It's bad enough. Like, nigga, that's Hindu niggas. That's Apu from the corner store. Indeed, but Hinduism even worse. That's all the way across a part of land your people barely even traversed in. You know what I'm talking about? You Hindu, you Buddha, you ignorant bastard, you. You just a nigga want to be alone. Maybe the Hindu man will hug me. White man won't hug you, so you looking for another nigga to hug you. Horrible. Isaiah 27, man. 27:6. He said, he shall cause them of Jacob to take root. Yasharal shall blossom in blood and fill the world with fruit. He hath smitten him as he smote those that smote him. Or is he slain according to the slaughter of them that are slain by him? You know who he talking about? He said he smitten him as he smote those that smote him. Remember what he told you in the book of Revelation? And every eye shall see him, even those who pierced him. And he says, or is he slain according to the slaughter of them that are slain by him? So are these people going to get slain the same way Yahushua gets slain? Definitely. He says, in measure when he shoot forth, will you debate with it? He slay his rough wind in the day of the east wind. What you think that mean when they say the day of the east wind? Because he coming from Jerusalem, he coming out of the east. What is that wind? He coming to slay you with the breath or the lips of his mouth, as it says in Isaiah 11. But no, it said, right? He said, oh, you going to debate with it? Let me see what measures say. That's what a lot of them niggas gonna do when the Lord come back. They gonna want to debate with him. That's what they preparing for. You ain't lying. That's what they preparing for. I'm a debate with him. Oh, that's a big one. Don't fall for that. Now, when they say debate with him here, the word is rev, and it's to strive or to contend. I'm also going to look at the word measure. That's definitely what they're doing. They definitely getting you ready for them aliens. Now, whether they fake that or not is a different thing. The word measure means to drive away. So when he come to drive away and then shoot forth, which is to drive away the wicked. How many brother just asked this here, right? Because you know they said something about, for some reason I seen a whole bunch of people talking about storming Area 51. You know what I'm saying? I guess somebody that came out with something about storming Area 51. Y'all familiar with Area 51? You familiar? That's in Nevada. It's a base. It's an Air Force base in Nevada. They claim that that's where they kept the alien bodies and ships that crashed. Did this happen in like the 40s? I want to say. Yeah, that's what some people believe. You know, Joe Rogan was just had on his podcast a dude who was talking about Area 51, who's supposed to be privy to that information. You know what I'm saying? I'm of a personal belief that there's no such thing as aliens. You know what I'm saying? I do not believe in a lot of people do, because you got to remember, a lot of people don't believe the word. So when you don't believe the word, you're privy to believe anything. You know what I'm saying? But of course, if you've ever heard of David Icke believes that aliens are really reptilians, aka demons. You know what I'm saying? Because that's all reptilians is. They're reptilian creatures. They live up under the ground. No one lives here. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? All that junk, probably what's up under the ground is graven images that they have created, worshiping their deities. But there are some people who are of the belief the government thing is, it's not Operation Paperclip. I forget, it's Operation something. Something with blue in it. It escapes my mind. Operation Bluebeam. Operation Bluebeam. Operation Bluebeam is what some people believe that they're going to do one of two things. They're going to fake an alien invasion, or they're going to fake the return of Mashal. That's what's in Operation Bluebeam. With the hologram. So the faking the alien invasion, some of you are too young to remember. I was a small child, so I definitely seen the clips of it. Ronald Reagan, when he was president, was saying if there was an alien invasion, that everybody on the earth would put away their differences and would come together as one.
That's why they made the
That too, and they were venerating their deity on that day. So on that movie, they were really worshiping Horus and this, that, and the third. But that shows the programming of that, you know what I'm saying, most definitely without question, because everybody in the world came together in this quote unquote crisis. So again, we're just talking about propaganda, and it's called conditioning. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? They condition you. It's called predictive programming specifically. They show you events over and over again and then play them out in real life so you're mentally prepared to accept it.
But they did that with Russian things.
Sputnik, all that. Just like the Russian Revolution. The Russian Revolution occurred so they could put a central bank in Russia. The French Revolution occurred. Anytime you see a revolution, y'all remember the Arab Spring from a couple of years ago? There was a bunch of revolutions and riots going on in the quote unquote Middle East. And right after that, central banks popped up. You know what I'm saying? They were fooling with Gaddafi. You know, they had to get Gaddafi out of there because he was resisting a central bank. And you have the African Union. But don't think that Gaddafi wasn't down with the plan, but he wasn't down with that part of the plan. Because
with Gaddafi, with the CIA, now he's back over there trying to take over political. Iran back him. The UN against him. It's crazy.
But all that's for cap. Because if he was a part of the CIA, you know who son him.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, he was with Gaddafi, they were the CIA, they went back to Gaddafi.
Just like I was listening to the other day, and I forgot this. Hitler and Bin Laden were killed on the same day. You know what day they were killed on? He may have got killed not on that day. You know what I'm saying? Of course, if y'all not familiar with Operation Paperclip, was the shepherding out of Nazi scientists into South America, because it was the Nazis who created NASA. It was the Nazis who did a lot of things because they got them up out of there. They were both killed on May the 1st, 66 years apart.
Only reason I say that kind of little part of the plan to do with the
Yeah, you-
so they can sell it.
They still had to kill you though, because now these are
No, because they have
Absolutely, Dwight is absolutely correct.
Like how Bin Laden really didn't get killed, they just changed his image and put him over there.
No, but the thing is he said that they used a particular word to say that. They didn't say he was killed that day, but he's an asset. Now Dwight just mentioned this here, that Avengers, all the end of the world movies are preparing the world to band together to fight against the master at his return. And it tells you that in the book of Revelations, and we're going to get to that before we slide. But what I'm talking about, like, in regard to what you were, and that's the end of that. Well, go ahead. You know what I mean? You heard about that around the location. Yeah, some people want to try to find where the fallen angels at. I have no desire to find that location. There's nothing for me there. I'll let them stay in that pit, shackled up. You know what I mean?
right. What you looking for? You want to be in the same page?
Because people are crazy. But when, but you know what I mean? But when you look at it, it's like he says that in the measure, and what I said that measure was, I forgot.
You was talking about Armageddon, was gonna show that.
Yeah. No, that's what it was. They were both killed on May the 1st. And May the 1st is May Day, which is for Beltane, which is what I was telling y'all about that maypole, which is a big old penis. You know what it means when you flick somebody off with your middle finger? Y'all know what that means? Yeah, that's Baal's penis. And that's symboling for the maypole. And that takes us back to what we're talking about right here in Isaiah 27. So he say, by this therefore shall the iniquity of Jacob be purged. This is the fruit to take away his sin. When he make all the stones of the altar as chalk stones that are beaten asunder, and the groves and images shall not stand up. Now let's take a look in Revelation chapter 13. Remember, who is Baal? Baal is God. Nebo is the prophet. We kind of talked about this last week. The beast is coming in as who? As if he's going to come and stand up and do what? Say he's God. And Nebo, aka the false prophet, is his prophet. But remember what he said. We're going to come back to Isaiah 46. He said they couldn't carry the burden. So therefore, they couldn't get the exile up off of you. See, Yahusha could carry the burden. How do we know Yahusha carried the burden? Because you've seen it when he carried the stake, because the stake is symbolic of your sin. So he carried your burden. When he was nailed to the stake, he finished it. See, Baal, what burden did Baal carry? Not now. Baal ain't doing nothing but carrying penises. You know how weird that is? And the reason why I focus on that aspect of it, because I want everyone to understand how ridiculous this is, that these people literally worship genitalia. You understand? They literally worship male and female genitalia. And you need to tell your children that. These people are weird, son. They worship your pee-pee. They do what? Yes, son. They worship your pee-pee. This is what they do. That's why they look at it that way. Because at the end of the day, they don't want to give honor to who the honor is due. Remember what we read in Isaiah 42:8, my name is Yahuwah. I will not give my praise unto graven images. They don't want to give the esteem to who is due. So they say it's due to your penis, it's due to your vagina. The black woman is God, and all that other cornball stuff that these niggas be talking. That's why you got these women run. I'm a goddess. What you a goddess of? I never knew a goddess who got ran through. Oh, I take that back. I know a few. I know a few. Stupid, you big dummy. You know what I'm saying? 13 and 11. And you know what? And we have to really start looking at our people, because when you call somebody dumb, that means that you're aware of things and you're making yourself unaware. See, stupid is to know the truth and to believe lies. You know what I'm saying? See, there's a difference between being ignorant, dumb, and stupid. Ignorance is dangerous. You know what I'm saying? Because ignorance can get you in trouble. Being dumb is passable because you just ain't really got a lot of sense. You know information, but you don't know what to do with it. But being stupid, that's the worst one of the three. Because you know what it is and you choose to do opposite. Absolutely. You can be dumb and not be a fool. You can be dumb and be a fool. But if you stupid, you a complete fool. Because you know better and won't do better. A stupid person is in reality rebellious. Because they know what it is and they choose not to do what's right. You know what I'm saying? They choose not to do what's right. Well, see, most of y'all married. How would you feel, Callie, if your daddy would have came and told you who you was gonna marry when you was a teenager? I want you to try to put yourself back into the mind you had back then. How would you have felt like that? That look on your face tells it all. And you would have felt like your daddy would have been wrong if he told you, get out my house. Go fend for yourself, you bald-headed hoe. See? Because that's what you pretty much told him, that you're going to tell me what you're going to do in my house. At least how you'd have felt like that if your daddy would have came and told you, this who you going to marry when you was younger. With the mind, you got to go back to how you thought then. Hey, at least you're honest. What about you, D? I feel you. Because I know some of y'all, what if he ugly? What does it matter? You know what I'm talking about? Because I think that's what most people, what if he ugly? I remember this chick was in the word, she told me, how can we get married and not have sex first? What if the sex is bad? I said, you don't never need to get married. If that's all you worry about, you don't never need to get married. If that's what your brain went to. But I'm talking about, but if you dealing with the word, this ain't somebody who was in the world. They were already dealing with the word. So if this is where your mind go at, you don't need to be married. What about you, Shayla? How you felt if your daddy would have gave you something? You just would have went along with it? Huh? What'd you say? She said you chose. She said, I don't trust your judgment, huh? What about you, Nisha? But why would that upset you?
I mean, because you think about in the world, your mindset, like, not so much like what about life and what about our personality. I mean, when you're in the world and you're dating, you life, personality.
And I know it. See, and you know why I mentioned that? Because that's new world thinking. In ancient times, you wouldn't have cared what his personality was. Can that nigga lead me right? And is he gonna feed me and protect me? You would have learned to love it. You know what I'm talking about? You'd have been like this here. What you like, baby? You say you like spaghetti.
Like over time, like this one woman respect. You ain't gonna have no choice but to love a nigga that protect.
Oh.
For you to love a nigga who just look good.
Nigga, you feel like you have some fun with. You know what I'm saying? If this nigga could, like you said, how could you not love a nigga that's doing the things a man is supposed to do? You gonna learn to love. You to learn to love. Straight up and down.
I mean, take the word out, take the word.
All that. No man want no dumb woman.
That was stupid. All the way around the board, like all the way around the board. You hate this stuff.
Every day. That's why you think a lot of dudes alcoholics and drug addicts? They wife. Why you think a lot of niggas go to the bar? Niggas say this nigga been married for 10 years. They say, sir, you want to go home? They say, well, man, no, a nigga be like, you got a family? Yeah, I got a wife and kids. So why you ain't going home? I just told you I got a wife and kids. You know what I'm talking about? I don't want to go home. I'm tired of looking at this hoe. She get on my nerves. You know what I'm saying? Nigga can't cook. This nigga burn grits. You know what I'm talking about? I try to have a conversation with her. She look at me like this here. You know what I'm saying? But no, it ain't even just the spouse part. It's just the fact of that's the number one thing. But it's also that you've been taught to have. They weren't taught to have emotional connections with someone. Do you know what I'm saying? They weren't taught that. They were like this here. They were taught on the fundamental of that's your husband. You respect and obey him. You provide and protect for her.
Think about who parents. That's how it had to be. Like my parents, my dad taught me to everybody and provide for me. And obviously, it wasn't like really like all the other stuff about it.
No, I mean it don't, because I mean he can only teach you what he know, and he just gonna give you the basics. A man should provide and protect. But then the nigga don't really go into the intricacies of what that means. But notice the key thing that most people are always left out of what the man is supposed to do, and that's lead. Because you can provide and protect and not be a leader. You know what I'm saying? And that's lead. And when somebody's not telling you as a young man how to lead, then you get into a marriage and you overcompensate or you undercompensate because you don't know how to do so. You know what I'm saying? And this is why a lot of women feel like I gotta lead. I gotta do this. I gotta do that. You know what I'm saying? And that's not where that come from. You know, again, like what I told you before, it is never, ever, ever, ever anyone else's responsibility to teach your children before yours. You can never abdicate that responsibility to another person. That's your responsibility. The Duval County Public School System did not create your children. Therefore, it is not their responsibility to raise nor teach them. You know what I'm saying? It's not the responsibility of any of your family members or any of your friends. That's your responsibility because you created them. And just like he said that he created us in his image and his likeness, he taught us to be able to do what? To move in his image and his likeness. And a man is supposed to teach his family to move in his image and his likeness. Because he would be teaching you to walk in Mashiach, and he would be walking in Mashiach, which means that's the image and life. Either way it go, it come back to everybody's in the image of Elohim at the end of the day. That's how it would end. That's the goal and the objective. Revelation 13 and 11. He said, I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a serpent. And he exercised all the power of the first beast before him, and caused the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. So some of you who are on here who may not be aware, and we don't have the time to go over it in depth, but we went over this before. The beast will reign for 3.5 years. He will mimic the death and resurrection of Yahushua HaMashiach. We know that this will happen during Passover. We only know this because we know that Yahushua will be returning during Tabernacles. So if it's a 3.5 year period, that time period is going to lead us back to Passover. How do we know that? Because of that 6. Because we know that Tabernacles begins in the 7th month on the 15th day of that month. And we know that when you set that up, you can see them trumpets being blown, all this type of stuff, everything go down. We know that's when this man's coming back through. So when you see this deadly, because some people believe that deadly wound is healed, as we discussed before, is that's the death of the Roman Empire. You have some people who do not believe that the man of sin or the beast is an actual person. You know what I'm saying? I am not of that mindset. It is very clear to me, according to this text, that this is a person. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. He said he do great wonders so that he make fire come down from heaven on earth in the sight of men. He deceived them that dwell on the earth by means of those miracles, which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the sword, had a wound by a sword, and did live. Because we have to remember that Yahushua had a wound by a sword, and he lived. That's what happened. You know what I'm saying? But then also, Yahushua didn't have an image. Do you remember what we just read in Isaiah 27, how he said that he would destroy that image upon his return? So that image that he's talking about destroying, because Isaiah, we went over Isaiah 27 at one time by request. And That's what that's talking about. It's talking about the end. You know what I'm saying? So when you see that, especially when it's referring to that Leviathan, which is that serpent, you know what I'm saying? He's telling you what it is. And he's telling you how Yahushua, that he's going to drive away those who want to contend with him. And that he's going to slay them. It's there. Let's go back and look at it. Because we didn't read that verse. Let's go back and look at it. Isaiah 27. Look at verse 1. It says, in that day, Yahuwah with his sword and great strong sword shall punish Leviathan, the piercing serpent, even that crooked serpent, and he shall slay the dragon that is in the sea. And what does it say about the whore of Babylon in Revelation 17? He came up out the sea. He's the one who ends up ruling over this whore. Then he say, in that day you shall sing unto her a vineyard of red wine. And what did it say that Yahushua would do? That he would tread the winepress of the wrath of the Almighty Elohim. I, Yahuwah, do keep it. I will water it every moment. Lest any hurt it, I will keep it night and day. But again, let me read that verse again. 27. 27. I had read verse 1, but I'm going to read that verse 7 again in Isaiah 27. He says, he has smitten as he has smote those that smote him, or is he slain according to the slaughter of them that are slain by him? In measure when it shoot forth, you will debate with it. He stay his rough wind in the day of the east wind. And then he say he's going to destroy that grove and that image and it won't stand. And then when you see at the end of the chapter, it tells you how that great trumpet will blow and all the outcasts will come up out of Mizraim and worship Yahuwah in Jerusalem, and that we will be gathered one by one. So this is telling you, this is clearly pointing to when the Lord returns to destroy Baal and Nebo, or the beast and the false prophet. So when you read in Isaiah 46, because he tell you that he's the one who carry you even to your old age, because he said they aren't able to carry that burden. What is that burden? It's sin and death. Baal and Nebo can't carry that. You know what I'm saying? But Yahuwah and Yahusha can carry that, because Yahuwah would be the Elohim and Nebo would be Yahusha in that instance, who Baal and Nebo are trying to mimic. You know what I'm saying? We're not even say trying to mimic, because Baal and Nebo didn't come up with nothing. That's the creation out of a man's mind. You know what I'm saying? A man came up with that. And this is why I always sit back and tell you, right, this here, right? This is why people didn't want Yahuwah or Yahusha no more than people want a righteous man now, because most people don't want to be led. Because why don't most people want to be led? Because it requires accountability and discipline. And when you don't want that, you're going to reject. That's why I mentioned that movie with Sanaa Lathan in it, when she was dating a white dude and her character met Blair Underwood's character. And in that movie, he was everything that she said she wanted. He was also going to be accountable, and it was going to be order, and it was going to be structure. And she looked him in the face and said, you're everything but I want, but I can't handle that. I don't want it. And went and chased after the white man. And then in the movie, it showed how her father and her brother co-signed her going to mess with this white man. And it's not that he's a white man, it's the fact that because in the movie it shows how her yard was all messed up in the back and how he was the one to bring vibrancy and life into her life and this, that, there, and the third, and all the subliminal stuff that they slide in movies. And I only, like I told you before, I learned of that, a class I took at FSCJ called Movies as an Art. And it taught us and showed us how they tell stories within a story to put propaganda into your mind. You know what I'm saying? And that you have to pay attention to everything from lighting to camera angles to everything. It's telling a story within the story. Then you can get the context of what's really being imparted.
All the colors, and he was like,
Yeah.
real consistent, real life, ain't nobody saying, yeah.
Which is funny why she wouldn't want the man to be like that. That
She wanted that, but she got a little boring.
Yeah, okay, she wanted that loose.
Yeah. She wanted, but see, she had already slept with the white man first.
Yeah.
See, like when you show it, they show you the inkling, like she didn't fool with the dog, but the dog was representative of the man. The more she warmed up to the man, the more she warmed up to the dog. You know what I'm saying? Like she wouldn't let him in his house, and then she let the dog in the house. Then she invited him in the house. Then she slept with him. Then she tried to pull the average nigga woman mode when I say nigga woman, ignorant woman, silly woman, that she having black issues and want to complain to her white boyfriend. He don't want to hear it. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of black women and white black men who date people of other races, they feel like that they want to sit there and complain. He looking at her like, you the head of a $1 million company, you got this and you got that, and you complaining, ho. But even if he wasn't white, shoot, I'd have felt, man, ho, shut up. You know what I'm saying? Your life ain't that bad, ho.
She did. He was just like,
Because she was being, but why was she? But you got to look past. Why is she overreacting? Because why would she? But you got to look at why she's triggered. Because she said, look at her response. You said you date black women. But in his mind, he was like, if I wanted a white woman, I would have got a white woman. I do date black women. Get that crap out your head. She triggered, because quote unquote, the stereotype is black men don't like black women with natural hair. And that's a lie. The average nigga don't want no woman with no weave. Y'all want that junk, and y'all try to put it on us and say that's what we want. Nigga don't want that. Nigga don't want no chick who got a stocking cap on up under her hair. The average man, if you was to ask the average man what his preference was, he gonna say natural. Think about, why do they pick at us about our hair texture? Nigga, please. The average nigga ain't ranking on no woman with no fro. Because in the 70s, what did black men push the women to do? Wear fros. Wear their hair. Women started wearing weaves on a more regular basis in the 70s. Because a nigga ain't with all that. Nigga ain't on that. But it's not even the fact of now you don't want nobody to wear no weave because you might not sure if that's a trend. You know what I'm saying? That could be a trend. You know what I'm talking about? Whole time. You know what I mean? But it's just the point of why I mentioned last week that if you give a woman free reign, is she gonna wear her hair a weave? She probably gonna wear weave. If you give her free reign, is she gonna dress modestly or is she gonna show off the yams and cakes? She gonna show the yams and the cakes. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I'm free, I can do what I want to do. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to tell you. Give a woman the option, and she gonna do the opposite and say men put that on her. Because I ain't never heard a dude yet say I want a chick with some weave. I ain't never heard a nigga say it. You know what I'm saying? In person, live and in person, I ain't never heard a dude say, "Well, I love a chick with a mean weave." Well, I love it. I ain't never heard it. You know what I'm saying? I ain't saying it don't happen. What, them lace fronts? You got a helmet on. Around here, ready, set, hut, looking whole. Man, nobody got no time for that. Them lace fronts look bad. That joint look bad. You know what I mean? Let's sit down. Down. Go. Go on with your barbecue sandals on. You finna grill some meat? Pause. You need to go sit over there with your mama. All right. So yeah, you have to look at that. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I wouldn't be shocked that the creation of weave would have something to do with the veneration of some goddess at some point in time in history. You know what I'm talking about? Like straight up. You know what I'm talking about? I wouldn't be shocked. You know what I'm talking about? Because our women into that too bad.
I didn't think that because they just
Indeed, but you know they like to venerate certain things. So, and no doubt. But I'm looking at the creation of the product, like how we know that they take that hair in India and then they sacrifice it to their gods before they send it over. So I'm just wondering. I'm not saying this fact. I'm just wondering. Is it possible? I don't know. I've never took the time to look, but I wouldn't be shocked to find that out because it seems like women who wear weave, them whole crazy. They ain't got good sense. As it should. As it should. Indeed, look. In my opinion, and I'm not a scientist, a biologist, or anything of the sort, I think that's just weak genes. Matter of fact, I am. I can say that affirmative. I remember that from school. That is a sign of recessive genes. Straight hair is a sign of recessive genes. Y'all remember the little box they used to have you do in school? Yeah, that's a sign of recessive genes.
Yeah.
That's a sign of recessive genes. No disrespect. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, most of them do. And then, of course, you know, the quote unquote Asian people, they're considered to be inbred, and that's why they're called mongoloids. You know what I'm saying? Because they're considered to be inbred. And I said that's why their eyes are crossed. Not me, that's what science say. It's like,
But they usually like out of all races of people, they like,
you know what I mean? Never know what happened. Let me finish this up, man. Verse 15. He said he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he calls all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive the mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark of the name of the beast or the number of his name. Now remember what we mentioned with that word? And I done lost it now. In 1 Kings 15 and 13. Remember, this is a horrid thing. Y'all know when you hear the word horrid, what's the first thing come to your mind? Stop, boy. You're stubborn and hard-headed. God, nothing. Yeah, okay. Play with me again and watch what I do to you. You better find you somebody to play with. Remember, it's horrid or a horrible thing, right? So remember what the characters is. You have the way of the mouth that teaches the chaos of the mark. What did it say that this did Egyptians wear wigs? Yes, they did wear wigs. The Egyptians definitely did wear weaves. You know what I'm saying? I think that's where the Brits ended up taking that custom for. But that's right, the Egyptians definitely did wear weave and eyeliner. Huh? Yeah, the British with those, little white wigs the judges wore. But the Egypt, I forgot about that, Kyra. You're absolutely right. They definitely wore weave. Yeah, they definitely wore weave. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm saying. If we was to look into why they wore weave, it would probably be highly disturbing. Oh yeah, they were definitely trans. Yeah, they wore eyeliner, and no, we're gonna leave that alone on what's on their hieroglyphs because we have children in here. They did nasty stuff. They did, you know what I mean? But listen, right? But notice, what did he say that beast, that image of the beast would be able to do? Talk. And remember, it says the idol is a what? A horrid thing. So when you see his forth as the characters, meaning he's already telling you that this idol is going to teach you chaos to show you a way of the mark. What does the script tell us? And again, we'll still deal with Bel and Nebo because I ain't finished. What does the script say the beast would have the ability to do? Understand dark sentences. He would also sit down and instruct the people. So when you look at what does an idol do? An idol is teaching you a way of chaos. You know what I'm saying? But it's not, the idol itself is not doing it. It's doing it through the mouth of Nebo or a false prophet or a diviner, if you will. You know what I'm saying? And then when you take it in, that's why he said in Isaiah 27, are you going to contend with me when I come to cast you out the way? Because what is Yahushua coming to do? He's coming to destroy that idol and the two people behind that idol. Because remember, we talked about this here, right? We know what our laws say. The idols can't talk, but they idol gonna talk. But we short on time. We got to get out of here. So hallelujah for Yahushua and the word. I bless everybody out the house. Y'all name of Yahushua. I appreciate y'all time. We will continue this, y'all willing, on the next go round. Because it's forth is everything that's got going on dealing with these idols. It's a lot of information that got to be transposed, and we're gonna drop it and get it to you. So you who are willing till that time, we out of here. Out of here. Dang, Glover Lee on the left. Left the laptop.